something new. It's a revolutionary idea. And I think sometimes in doTERRA we get stuck in a rut. That's why most of you are here, right? Yeah, we get there. And don't think just because you hit Presidential Diamond that doesn't happen. There are days, and Roger probably, he laughs at me, where I say, this is not going fast enough. I can't believe this is not working. So just realize this kind of business is like this. And the reason is because you guys are all achievers. That's why you want to do this. And so it will never go fast enough, but it always goes really well and it's always successful. Okay? So what I want to talk to you about is how we need to look outside the box. We need to think outside the box. We need to figure out ways that are going to work that is different than we've ever done before, right? So my son has a favorite quote that I love. It says, if you want something that you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Okay, so watch yourself carefully through this training and see if you don't catch yourself going, oh, well, I tried that. Well, I've already done that. Okay, so don't let yourself go to that place. Figure out, okay, I'm going to figure out some new things I can do, something that I can implement. Maybe I did it, but maybe I did it for one day. Let me do this for real. Okay, and I want to show you someone who came up with a revolutionary idea, and I want to share that with you.
While she's getting that set up, you know that we're having a little raffle. The first thing, if no one claims this, we're going to raffle this off too. This is left up at the registration desk. Jasmine? Oh, you're sitting right next to me.
We don't want to just change it.
We need volume up.
Wow, that's a bigger change than I expected.
Okay. We have somebody at the volume?
Yeah.
Oh, the jack of all trades. Yes.
We don't want to just change your phone. We want to make you say, wow, that is a bigger change than I expected. iPhone 5 is a result of that desire to surprise.
It's been completely redesigned. For the first time ever, we've increased the size of the display. By making the screen taller but not wider, you can see more of your content without the need to scroll. We're making scrolling a thing of the past. iPhone 5 is more comfortable to use and reduces scrolling fatigue while reading long documents.
Even with the larger display, iPhone 5 is the thinnest iPhone we've ever built. To achieve a design this tall, we had to look at a complete redesign of the internal architecture. It's 18% thinner and 795% taller than the previous iPhone.
It makes everything you do on iPhone 5 feel easier, and just a move of your arm away. No more hidden menus, no confusing gestures. Everything is right at your fingertips.
The panorama feature is simply awesome. The Ultra HD widescreen display lets you get your entire shot in a single snap. You can also use your iPhone 5's innovative design for image stabilization.
With an iPhone this tall, reception has never been better. You'll enjoy crystal clear clarity and results. And of course, all your favorite apps are still available. In fact, you'll find your old favorites also benefit from the new experience-enhancing Ultra HD widescreen. We found that while many previous iPhone owners were using FaceTime, they were using it for their faces. That's why we're introducing BodyTime. Using iPhone 5's Ultra HD widescreen display, BodyTime lets you see a person's entire body, allowing you to detect mannerisms and defects like never before.
We looked way beyond what we saw as expected. It took all of our learning, all of our thinking, to realize something so simple, so clear, and yet so tall.
iPhone 5, the tallest thing to happen to iPhone since iPhone.
So our goal is to think outside the box. Sometimes the ideas might not work, but sometimes they will. And that's why there are so many people who are successful in doTERRA. So what I want to do is I'm going to start off introducing you to my husband, Dr. Roger Harding. He's a dentist, and he is brilliant. Let me tell you the careers that he has had in his life so far, okay? Oh, I'm not supposed to? Oh, it's a secret. Okay. Well, when you see, as he shows you, what he's going to talk to you about is why doTERRA is such a powerful business. And he can answer that question better than anyone I know, and you'll see why. So here's Dr. Harding. Would you welcome him?
Okay, let's do this. Okay, what this little presentation is called A Tale of Two Careers, or maybe three. You'll see as we go through this that I may have had a midlife crisis or two in my time. Okay, a long time ago, just up the street here, I went to school. And I met Teresa. That was a good time. We had two of our children at that time. Both of them are here. You probably met them, checking in. Anyway, so 5 years of college. This is what 5 years of college got me, okay? I got a wife and 2 kids, about $3,000 in student loan debt. And this is, I kind of adjusted it for today, okay? So all the numbers you're going to see are adjusted for the last year or two. My salary out of school was about $46,000 a year. It was a very stable job. I had good benefits. A lot of times, though, when you graduate with a bachelor's degree, it means more school, right? There's one little problem, maybe one big problem, that a lot of people have right now that are going to college, okay? This is an interesting statistic that I found. University graduates, 6 months after graduation, this is what the population of the graduates look like, okay? So let's guess 56% are doing what?
Working.
They're working, right. They're working in jobs that require a college degree. Now there's a couple of 22% there. The next 22% of college graduates with bachelor's degree are working in jobs that do not require a college education, okay? And then the last 22%, anyone want to guess?
Jobless.
Jobless, right? All right, unemployed. Just quickly, some figures from last year, 2011, what people can expect to make when they come out of their undergraduate degree, okay? You can look at those. There's a book, and I wish I could remember the name of it. Someone's going to tell me the name of it as soon as I put this up here. And it's got this theory, okay, that to become an expert at something, you need to spend about 10,000 hours doing it. Who knows what book this is? Outliers, that's right. So Outliers says that you spend 10,000 hours doing something, you can become an expert at that, whatever it is. It's interesting, if you take 10,000 hours, it equals about 40 hours a week for 5 years, okay? So you can't, basically the idea is you can't expect to become an expert overnight in something. It takes a little bit of time. So, career number 1, you guys know. Let's talk about career number 2. What if you wanted to make more than that $46,000 a year? You wanted to, everyone says doctors make a lot of money. Teresa told you that I'm a dentist, so she kind of gave that part of the presentation away. So, as I was thinking about what I should do and had the midlife crisis, I'm thinking, what do I do? Well, I had a friend in dental school, and my wife and I talked about it a lot. We decided, well, I would really like to be a dentist. And we learned that the fastest route to do that is 3 years of school, okay? So that's what I did. I decided I'm going to go back to school, be a dentist. Can you believe the debt that we come out with? It's too much. To start up a business costs quite a bit. Your income in Utah is somewhere in there, but if you go outside of Utah, you can make significantly more. But that just gives you an idea. And these are not pictures of me in here when I decided to do this stuff, okay? Let's talk about another career, okay? This career, there's no student loan debt. $500 is the startup cost. 4 years of working in this business, that kind of 10,000 hour thing that I was talking about, and you come out making $50,000. Okay, now here's a little graph. This graph, you remember 5 years was for my first schooling, 8 years, with the additional 3, and then 4 years. So you can kind of see that graph there, all right? Now let's look at it a little bit differently. Here's the timeline across the bottom. First job, about $3,000 in debt. That's what I was making. The second job, I was a civil engineer. That's what she wasn't supposed to tell you. So I am a civil engineer. I used to build roads and bridges. Now I'm a dentist, and I build bridges still, which is confusing. All right, so the devil's a lot more, but you're making more, so there's a trade-off there, right? Okay, the last one, $50,000, no debt. Now this, you guys can probably figure it out, this was not me, okay, that did this. This was my wife. So the $50,000 though, the deal is that's not a year. The deal is that that's not a year, it's like more like in a month, okay? And so with a lot of work and no debt, you can have that kind of a difference in income. I just thought it was interesting as I was comparing my choices in education and careers with my wife's. When we were a young couple, we just lived, seriously, just a couple blocks over this way. 4 blocks that way, in the basement of this apartment. We were students, we didn't have any money, and you know, young guys, we like to think about going to the gym, right? And so, we didn't have money for the gym, so I came up with this theory called my baby bench press theory. And the theory is that if we had these little boys, there's Tyler in the back. Tyler, come in and raise your hand. There's Tyler. So Tyler was this little baby, and I thought if I bench press Tyler every day, the difference in his weight gain from day to day is not going to be big enough for me to even notice. Okay, Marshall's trying to hack into our... Anyway, so...
Go ahead and finish your story.
Okay. So the idea is I could bench press him every day. You know, I'd become this big, strong muscle builder. And now that he's 21 years old, I could still bench press him if I'd done that, right? Seems amazing to think that anyone could bench press him, but if you did that, really it would work, right? Try to get this going. All right. Let's talk about highway construction projects, civil engineering projects, okay? And I'll relate this all back to doTERRA in a minute. They all take time and planning and daily effort to do. At first, it doesn't look like there's a lot of progress. I mean, you guys have been, if you're living here, you've been driving up and down I-15 for the past couple of years, and it seems sometimes like, man, they're not making any progress. But I tell you what, it's going to be really nice when it's all done. During that process, there's this thing us engineers don't like, is the change orders. The construction company always has changes to whatever we're doing. So changes are inevitable. And in the end, it's something that can be used for years and years. The difference here is that with a doTERRA business, you don't have someone giving you money every day saying, here, go out and build this thing, go out and build this thing. It takes personal motivation to go out and build that thing every day. But the results are the same. At first, it doesn't seem like you're making a lot of progress, but if you stick with it, keep working, you're going to have something great in the end. Quickly, success, 7 tips out of a book that Teresa's going to recommend. Show up. You guys are here, you showed up. Be consistent, have a positive attitude, stay committed for a long period. Again, that's kind of one of the messages of this little presentation. Have faith and a burning desire in what you're doing. Be willing to pay the price and make the effort, and do it with integrity and with character. Successful people look at a problem and see an opportunity, okay? We're going to talk a lot about different problems and different roadblocks that we hit when we're in our doTERRA business. Just real quickly, we talk to people all over the world, okay? We talk to people who are in Utah, and they say, I can't build a business in Utah. There's already so many people in Utah. I can't build a business. I'm not going to be successful, right? And then you talk to people that are outside of Utah, and they say, oh, the corporate headquarters are in Utah. It'd be so much easier if I was in Utah, then I'd have the support of corporate. I could go in there. I wouldn't have to get my stuff shipped to me. You hear both sides. What's the difference? You got to just decide that you're going to do it and do it. Learning to walk, there's a great correlation between that and our business. You fail hundreds of times as you're trying to walk. Your first step is when you've actually mastered it, right? So why don't babies give up? Because a lot of people give up because they fail 100 times, right? Babies don't give up because they've got people cheering them on, people encouraging them, saying, you can do it, come on. And here at the bottom, as we get older, people don't cheer you on so much anymore. You say, hey, I'm starting this business. I'm selling these essential oils. It's going to be great. And what do they say? That's stupid. Why would you do that? Weirdest thing I ever heard. You need to surround yourself with people who are cheering you on, okay? Let's finish up here. A man can fall many times, but he's not a failure until he begins to blame someone else. Think about that. Are we blaming other people for failures in our own business? We're going to talk today about setting goals, okay? There's a little paper that was given to you, and Teresa's going to kind of go through that during the presentation, but the idea is that as you set goals, you got to think what you want to be out there in the future. Think what you want to be 2-3 years from now, and then cut that down. Where do I want to be in a year? Where do I want to be 3 months from now? Where do I want to be at the end of this month? And we're going to kind of go through that. Your goals should be, it's got this little acronym here, SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Those are what you want your goals to be. The choice is yours. I've chosen a lot of different things. I'm very glad at this point in our life that Teresa chose to start working with doTERRA. Not only has it blessed our lives financially, but also it's blessed our lives in a physical way with our physical health. And we've seen it bless the lives of thousands of other people in both of these ways. And it's been such an honor or blessing for us to be able to have that in our lives. I'm going to give the time back to Teresa. Thanks for letting me talk a little bit.
Isn't he awesome? He has another commitment. Can you give him a great round of applause for being here? Okay, so the career he didn't tell you about was he was, in between those two careers, he was a computer programmer for Nike. So I said, he's brilliant. He's really smart. So, and he says, I'm Presidential Diamond, but I have to say, there's no way I could have done it without him. And those of you in the room who know us know how hard he works with me to do this. In fact, he had 2 dental practices, and he just sold one of them about a week ago, right? Congratulations! Because he doesn't have time to do 2 dental practices and doTERRA. So he's helping me. Okay, I want to start off by adding on to what Dr. Harding just talked about. He was talking about how we don't want to blame other people. There, in the invitation that you got for this seminar or event, it had a lot of questions about issues you might have on your team, right? Raise your hand if you saw those and there was anything that hit a chord with you. Yeah, that's probably why you're here, right? So hopefully we'll be able to answer all of those questions. I'm worried about time, but I'm hoping to get through all of it. But the very first and most important thing is not to make excuses. Don't blame other people. Let me give you an example. I have a leader who, her husband is here, Jen and Richard Oldham, and they just hit diamond right before convention. So yeah, good job. It's not an easy thing to do. Amazing. And I will tell you, I never hear them make excuses or blame someone else. Never. If something happens wrong on their team, even when it really was somebody else's fault, you want to know what their attitude is? Their attitude is, you know what? We obviously didn't train right. That shows us what we need to be teaching our team. Oh, my upline won't do something for me. I'll tell you what, there are times they can't get a hold of me. I'm their direct trainer. Times they can't get a hold of me, it'd be very easy to say, I can't do this. She's so busy, I can't get a hold of her. You want to know what they do? They figure out a way to do it on their own until we can get in touch with each other, and that's the way it works. So I'm going to show you another video, and I want you to see if you can figure out another way out of this problem. Because we have some people here who could not figure out a way to resolve this problem. And as you're watching it, I want you to think about what you do in your business. How sometimes it's easy to sit back and go, well, I can't fix it, okay?
It's not shocking.
Oh, that's not good.
I need this. Already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello! There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
No, let's do it.
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he could fix it. All right, that's more like it. He says he can fix it.
Okay, thanks for your patience. Oh, I keep turning it off.
Thanks for your patience with the videos. In fact, Ryan, maybe you can help me. Someone on my team is here who is an amazing leader, and he is also brilliant at this kind of thing. So, if you know just keep that in mind the whole rest of this evening as we're going over some of these things. Don't be that person, okay? And you're here. That tells me that you're not that person. And maybe you have been. You might be. We're laughing because we all do that sometimes, right? But I want you to make sure that as you're listening to some of these things, that you are trying to think of ways you can be responsible for it, not anyone else. Not your downline, not your upline, I don't care who else. Okay? And I don't know where to put the clicker. Here it is. All right. Okay. The first thing I want you to remember is this is all about them. What are we doing this for if it is not to help people with the oils? If it's not really helping people, you guys know, none of you would be here if it was about a product that you didn't believe in, that you didn't really think helped people. It's all about them, and don't ever forget that. Everything that we talk about today, like if we talk about, this is how I have my leaders do it, or this is how I train, if it ends up being a situation, because sometimes there are exceptions to the rule, if it's a situation where you realize, wow, that would cause a problem with this rule always comes first, always. It's all about them. And I don't care if we're talking about the business, I don't care if we're talking about the oils. If we're helping someone with the oils, it's our job at the end of the class to try to get them to buy as many oils as we can get them to buy so that we can make a fast start bonus. No, the goal is to help them figure out, based on their ailments, what their grocery list is, and then we can help them figure out what they can afford, what they want to buy. And it's the same attitude with the business. As you work with your business leaders, it's about what they want. How many of us start talking to someone who seemed like they might be a good builder, and we start feeling like, I gotta get them to build. That's not what this is about. It's about helping them find out what they want, and if they want to build, then we know how to help them. If they want to build fast, that's awesome, and we know how to help them. But it doesn't matter if they want to build slow or slower or be a consumer. That's okay too. Okay? We're going to talk first about contacting today. All right, because one of the biggest questions people have is, how do I make 2 to 3 contacts a day when I've already talked to most of my friends and my family, right? It's hard to do. And when I first start training a new builder and we talk about 2 to 3 contacts a day, one of the questions I get the most often is, what about when I run out? You want to know what? I love that question. You know why? What it tells me is they're planning to do it. They've got a plan. They're thinking through, I'm going to talk to people, but I'm afraid I'm going to run out. What do I do next? they're thinking ahead about a goal and what they're going to do next, right? So actually, I love that question. So first of all, you've got to figure out your elevator pitch. And so on your sheet that you have, there is a spot where you can write down your elevator pitch. And I'm going to take a minute and we're going to talk about that. And it's got to be fast. Have you ever heard someone's elevator pitch and it's 5 minutes long? That's not an elevator pitch, okay? Now, I have 2 versions of my elevator pitch and I'll share those with you. And the reason they call it an elevator pitch is because what they mean is if you were in an elevator with someone and you say, oh, hi, and you talk for just a minute, it's what you would be able to tell them in that short time that might make them want to know more or ask for your business card, okay? So I'm going to talk about mine. And it's funny because you try different things. And sometimes you say something and you think, oh, that was so stupid. Or sometimes you say something and you think, oh, that was awesome, but I don't remember how did I do that, or that kind of thing. So I've figured out something that works pretty much every single time. And now, I speak quickly sometimes. And so in certain situations, because it can't take very long, right? So sometimes I end up talking a little faster, depending on the situation. But you also don't want it to sound like, well, let me tell you about these oils because we're almost to the 6th floor and I gotta tell you this real quick. You don't want it to feel like that either. So, for example, I was on the plane the other day and I had somebody who was sitting right beside me and I had been traveling and I could tell I was starting to get sick. I wasn't sick yet, but you know, when you just barely start to feel something in your throat, you're thinking, uh-oh, I think something might be coming on. So I took my On Guard. We're sitting waiting for the plane to take off. I took my On Guard and dripped a few drops down my throat like I do. Now, I'm not stupid. I know that people, when they see me do that, then they might ask me a question about it, right? But I use the oils like I would normally use them. I'm not one of those who's going to make sure that I'm faking stuff. I'll do what I'm going to do. I'll ask about, I'm not going to fake bringing out oils and pretend like I need them, but if I need them, I'll use them. And people will ask. If I don't need them and I don't think to bring them out, then a normal conversation would be, oh, so where are you going, right? And you start talking about things, you find out what they're doing for a job, that kind of thing. Well, she, of course, asked me, so what is that stuff? Turns out she was a dental hygienist and she was going to a dental conference in San Francisco. And we started talking and I told her, oh, these are essential oils. Okay, so now listen, this is where my elevator pitch comes in. I said, have you ever heard of those? Because if I just say those are essential oils, they might go, oh, okay, whatever. But I want her to ask me another question, but she doesn't have to. I say, have you ever heard of them? And usually they'll say no, or a little bit or something, but they'll show a little bit of interest. Now, does this mean they want a dissertation on essential oils? No. This means that they're interested enough to just have small talk. So I say, essential oils are, and so what I do, because I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sound like a doctor or something, but I say, I teach classes on essential oils. And so now I've established that I teach on essential oils. How many of you teach on essential oils? How many of you have shared the essential oils with anyone? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay, so do you teach on essential oils? Yes. And most of you in this room have taught a class, right? Whether it's in your home, I don't care where. So I say I teach classes on essential oils, or I teach about essential oils, and that's all. I'm not going to go into, I travel all over the world, and who cares? They don't care. But I teach about essential oils, and then I say, when they say they don't know what it is, I say they're liquid extracts from plants. It's what the liquid that they take out of the plant, and the compounds in the essential oils are the same compounds that are in the medicines we get from the doctor. That's what I say. And you want to know why I say that? Because I thought essential oils were weird. And I thought essential oil users were weirdos. And so, to me, I understand where that's coming from. And I know that a lot of people out there feel that way too. And if they don't, first of all, if they say, oh, I know essential oils, then guess what my elevator pitch is? Oh my goodness. So how long have you been using them? Whatever, of course, I'm totally interested. I'm not faking it. I want to know. But it gets to a point where my basic elevator pitch is this. Oh my goodness. If you use essential oils, you are going to love these. Period. Am I putting any other company down? No. Is that something, that's something I have my leaders repeat after me, huh? Oh my goodness. If you use essential oils, you are going to love these. Because that never makes someone feel defensive about the brand that they're using. You're just excited with them about essential oils. And don't ever, ever say anything negative about another brand of essential oils. Because I don't care what you think, every essential oil out, okay, maybe there are some that don't, but most essential oils out there are helping people. That's why people use them. That's why the brand has spread, right? They're helping people. So don't ever put them down. Okay, I want to have 20 volunteers come up here. And, okay, come on up. Yeah, from all around the room. Right there, I see a hand, back there, right? Maria, come on up, yeah. And a couple back there, you two back there. Oh, hi, Lisa. It's fun to see some of you that I know. Come on up. How many do we have? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write on here. Maria, why don't you come on up and start, and we'll just go down the line. Maria, who introduced you to essential oils? Who talked to you? Was it a friend, a family member, a coworker? You know, give me a generic answer.
It was a family member.
Okay. Family. Okay, thanks. That's all I need. And then, yeah, we'll just keep going down the line, Ryan.
Filming Teresa Harding.
I forgot. So, on the job, right? Okay, on the job. Okay, come on up.
Debbie Gordon, while we were waiting for my brother to get married.
And who was it? Was it somebody you knew?
Oh yeah, she's a good friend of my family's.
Okay, so friend. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Networking event. The gentleman's name, networking.
Yeah, and can I just say that Lisa is one of the best recruiters I've ever seen. And she does not push people. She enrolls people like you would not believe. So if you have a chance to catch her in the hallway, sorry Lisa, but you want to talk to her. And in fact, I actually am going to have Lisa come up and talk a little bit in just a minute. So what would we put that? How would we put, yeah? Networking. Okay, thanks.
My sister.
Okay, another family. Good, thanks.
My teacher when I was learning to be a cook.
Cool. Okay.
It was in Alpine Days.
Alpine Days.
Little booth, Reg Garrett.
Oh, the booth?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just call it an expo, and we'll count that as farmers markets or whatever, okay?
Massage therapist.
Massage therapist. We need those. Okay.
The first time oils or the business?
Oils. Well, what the first introduction you got?
Was with the oils, so that's family.
Okay.
Family, neighbor.
Okay. Family. Neighbor can be different than friend, so we'll put this right up here.
Free and on Craigslist.
Craigslist. Okay, internet.
And family.
And family. Okay. I want you to look at this chart. And what we're going to do before our first break is I'm gonna have everybody, if you can come through and shuffle through and just make a mark where you heard about it, because I think it'll be interesting for everybody to see where they got introduced to essential oils. How are people finding their contacts? Okay, and I want you to look at that all over the place. Do you see that? That actually worked out better than I had even intended, because we've got the internet, neighbor, massage therapist. Yeah, a walk-in, she said. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is make sure you keep the categories very broad. If you went to a natural health coach or something, well, yeah, that's not on there. If you have something new, put it up there, but if you can fit it into a category that's already there, fit it in, because it'll be easier for us to categorize and see how that works, okay? And in fact, Lisa, I'm gonna put you on the spot now. Would you come on up here? Because she really is one of the best recruiters I have ever seen. She's on my team. I've had the opportunity to work personally with Lisa. We've been able to work together. Would you give her a hand? What I'd like Lisa to do is tell us your top 5 ways that you recruit, and try to just be as brief as we can so we can get through everything, and tell them what works. And I will tell you, she is not pushy. So don't be thinking you've got to be some serious business person who's after everybody. Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm a huge networker. I attend, even before doTERRA was in my life, I was very active in the local Chamber of Commerce, women's groups.
Explain Chamber of Commerce. Some people don't understand how that works.
So every city, most cities will have their own Chamber of Commerce, where what the Chamber's goal is to help other businesses introduce each other and help those businesses grow. So I've owned multiple businesses over the years, and so I've always been active in the chambers because it helps me get my name and my business or my service out in the community by attending networking luncheons where you'll have 30 seconds to stand up and introduce yourself and what type of business you have. A lot of ribbon cuttings, a lot of breakfast things. Just, you literally could find, if you looked on the internet or in your area, contacting a chamber, you could probably find a different networking group, breakfast, lunch, dinner, after hours, probably 6 to 7 days a week. There's a ton.
And every time they do those dinners, you exchange business cards. So you end up meeting a lot of new people. And tell them about your upline and who she is.
Well, I personally was enrolled by Peggy Smith. Jared Winger, who enrolled Peggy Smith, Peggy, Jared, and I, and a few others on the team, were in a networking group before doTERRA.
And for those of you who don't know, Peggy Smith is one of the biggest leaders in doTERRA.
Well, I was, one of the other hats that I wear is I've been a bookkeeper for businesses for 20 plus years. So I did Peggy's bookkeeping before doTERRA came along, so I knew how much money Peggy made. So at that time, I was, and I'm going to do a real brief story, but I was diagnosed with Candida, had no idea what the heck that was, and I was just at a networking event venting about it. And this is before Peggy had lost her job with Body Shop from Home. And Jared Winger had said to me, well, I have some oils that will help you with that, help you get rid of it in 2 weeks. And I thought, okay, you've just gone from, hi Jared, how are you? You are strange, I'm moving away from you. Well, that was about all I had with Jared, but then when I found out that Peggy had lost her job with Body Shop from Home, they decided to not have independent consultants anymore. I thought, oh my gosh, because Dave, her husband, didn't work. Peggy was the breadwinner. I shouldn't say he didn't work. Dave is, everybody needs a Dave. I love Dave, he is her supporter like you would not believe. Works very hard with Peggy. So when I heard Peggy was meeting with doTERRA with these woo-woo oils, I thought, oh my gosh. So I went to Peggy's first class and sat there and basically bought the kit at the end to take it home and prove it didn't work.
Okay, so tell the top 5 places that you have, if you had to say your top 5 where you've gotten your most enrollments from.
Networking would be huge.
Any of those that you talked about.
Okay, so networking. I attend tons of networking events. Internet. I mean, I'm on Facebook, and my Facebook is, I do throw some personal in there, but I put tips on every single day. And I'm always offering free stuff if I see people put their stuff out there, guys. I'm sick, I got a headache, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that, I've been throwing up, I'm home with this, and I always just say, hey, if you want to try something, let me know. I'd be happy to get something for you to try. So, events. I think events have got to be the #1 thing, because classes.
So, okay, we've got networking, we've got internet classes.
You know, even family. I mean, I know I still have a lot of family that still think I'm a little bit strange, and that's okay. But I let them know to please share if there's anyone that is interested to let me know. So this isn't necessarily any place. I have my oils with me everywhere I go. So if I'm hearing somebody say I have a headache or I have a stomach ache, I pull it out and I just say, here, this is what I use. Do you want to try it? I mean, I'm not pushy at all. And so just wherever I go.
Thank you, Lisa. She wasn't prepared for that at all. Great job. Thank you. So we need to take advantage of the experts as we have them, right? Okay, so after you've contacted family and friends, that's when people get a little worried. Actually, I was kind of the opposite. I didn't want to talk to family and friends because it was network marketing. And I thought, I am not talking to friends and family. So I went and did expos because I was looking for avenues where people are interested to come talk to you, or they're already interested in the essential oils. I'm just teaching them about ours, how ours are different. So I went to talk to spas and I did expos. But you want to know what I've learned? I've learned I'll do that any day of the week. Those are powerful ways to share the oils, but the classes are the most powerful to build your business. So when I'm approaching a spa, don't forget your question. When I'm approaching a spa, when I go to MGM Grand, we have a lot of spas in Las Vegas now who are using doTERRA oils. And for those of you who aren't aware, from 6 to 8 tonight, I'm going to be talking about exactly how we work with spas, very, very specifics. But when I was working with MGM Grand, one of the things that was neat, it's exciting to get that account. And oh yeah, MGM Grand is on my team, and they order this much a month, and that's exciting. But guess what? I have found that's nice, but it's just, it doesn't build your business. They're a good consumer, and that's great. But what builds my business is when I work with the spas the way that I'll teach you tonight, and we get classes off of the spas. When we come in to do trainings with their employees, and their employees want to have classes in their neighborhood, that's what gets me excited about the spas now, because I understand how important the classes are. Okay? So these were some ideas. Hopefully you got to write some of those down. Now, I was just in Hawaii and I was visiting with, how many of you know James Bybee and Roxanne? They're awesome. We went to, we happened to be in Hawaii for a post-convention tour, and we were there over our Sabbath. So we went to church there, and at the church, I saw someone who looked an awful lot like James Bybee. Turned out to be his brother Joseph. So Joseph and his wife, we got to meet with them. So we ended up doing some private training with them. And they are amazing. And I'll tell you what, I asked Dina, his wife, I said, what is the thing that you feel like you have the biggest problem with? And she immediately, without hesitating, she said, fire hosing. I fire hose. I get so excited about the oils that I tell people a bunch of stuff. Okay? And I see that all the time. Even when we're not talking about the business, right? Even when we're talking about the oils. And let me tell you what happens. When, somebody had a question over here.
I was just going to ask, what type of expo do you do?
I'll tell you what, I do any. When I first decided to do an expo, I started deciding to do doTERRA. I didn't want to wait around. Once I decided to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to let anything stop me. And the only expo available that I could find around was the What a Woman Wants. Well, that has nothing to do with essential oils, but I did it anyway, and I'll tell you, I had some of the best contacts. It was amazing. I had over 110 good, interested contacts, some business possibilities too. So, but it does not matter. I don't care if you go to a chiropractic expo. I don't care if you go to, because you would think, well, I need to go to natural health. Does not matter. You can go to the home building expo, and you end up getting some amazing contacts. And by the way, at expos, do not forget to go around and meet people at the other booths. And it's not about this. Hey, can I have your business card? Hey, can I have your business card? It's not about that. It's talking to them a little bit, just as if you were at your own booth. Hey, what are you doing here? How long have you been doing this? How's it going? You get to know them a little bit, get their card. Those are people who are entrepreneurs. Some of our best builders end up coming from the people who are manning other booths. So, okay, I got excited about that. I got sidetracked. So now I have to try to remember what I was talking about a minute ago. Do you guys remember? Help! Oh, that. Okay, so fire hosing. So, I know what I was going to do. I was going to use the volunteer. Can you come on up here? Yeah. Okay, Lori didn't want to apparently. Okay, so if you're brand new to the oils, I want you to talk to me. Let's say I am talking about the oils. We'll have to go back and forth with the mic, but I want you to act like someone who is a little bit interested, but maybe thinks I'm weird. Okay? Now, a lot of you, okay, she says, that'll be easy. Okay, go sit down. No, I'm kidding. So, okay, I want you to notice there are times when all of us want to say more, but don't say more, okay? So let's say we've talked a little bit, gotten to know each other. I've told her, I teach classes on essential oils, and she might even be afraid to ask me this next question. What are they for? Essential oils are liquid extracts from plants, and what they are, the compounds in the essential oils are the same compounds as the compounds that are in our medicines. And so I work with a lot of moms in their homes, I work with doctors, I work with nurses, massage therapists, all kinds of groups of people who want to learn how to use them. And hopefully, and usually, okay, so I guess I shouldn't do commentary. How would I use them? Well, they're awesome for a lot of the things that you would normally deal with in your home. If you have aches or pains, if you have kids. Now, don't ever, like, you know how you don't, for example, if you see someone who is, like, you might see an older gentleman or something, don't assume that he has grandkids. Don't start saying, well, you could use it for your grandkids. Don't ever make those kinds of assumptions. It's rude, and you just take them at face value the way that they are, okay? And so I would say, well, like when your kids get sick, you can use them to clean in your home there. Now, notice at first, I didn't say they're antiviral, they're antibacterial. I didn't say all that stuff. But she asked me a question, and say, you can use them for these ailments, these few ailments, and they're antiviral and they're antibacterial, so they'll wipe out a cold like you would not believe. They're awesome. How do I get more information? Okay, so now, and if the conversation is going to go on, then what's going to happen is she might ask, what usually happens? Let me ask you guys, what usually happens at that point? They're either more skeptical, or they're wanting to know about their ailment. I talked about colds, or I talked, right. So how do I know more? So thank you. Can you give her a hand? So if she says, how do I know more? I'm not going to then say a ton of stuff. I'm going to say, well, because guess what? It's about her. All I care is, how can I help her? It doesn't help her if I send her a bunch of information, hoping she might do the business. It helps her. We were talking more about the oils and helping someone with the oils, right? So my next question is going to be, well, tell me what ailments. Now, I'm very careful. I don't say, tell me what ailments you deal with. Because they might not want to admit to me that they have depression, or that they have some, other issue, or cancer. That might be too personal. So what I always say is, well, tell me some ailments that you deal with, or someone that someone that you know or care about deals with, and I can show you how to use the oils. So you see how brief it can be? Don't go on and on. The other biggest thing I see is someone will be talking and they don't let the other person get a word in edgewise. Sometimes you might be doing it right at the beginning. You're not fire hosing, you're doing a great job, but then they get all excited. And you start going, oh my goodness, well, and then you start telling all these stories, and I had somebody who did this, and I had somebody who did. It's about them. Remember to let them talk. Who cares about your dumb stories? Yeah, your stories are great, and you might need to throw one in once in a while to give credibility, help them understand how they work. But the real truth is, tell me about you. I can, if she tells me, I've got stomach problems where I have indigestion or something like that, I'm going to say, you know what, I have worked with people, and I'm under it depends on the situation. I might tell a story, a specific story, and this is what happened. It is awesome. I think you will love it. You're going to fall in love with it, whatever. And then it's all about them. Once I've told one story, I shouldn't be talking. It should be them. So I spend a lot of time on that because it's super important. That's the one way you turn people off, especially if people know you're in doTERRA and they know it's network marketing. You have to be even extra careful to do it that way, okay? Now, remember we talked about how it's all about them. Just don't forget that your needs will be fulfilled as you help them. Because for me, at the beginning, I first started building because I wanted to share the oils. And the business is important, that's good, you're making money and all that stuff. And yes, I wanted to make money, who doesn't? But it was not about the business. It was about helping people with the oils. And I just couldn't even go the other direction and go focus on that because it was network marketing. And so I actually had a friend who is a very close friend of ours, who financially was in trouble because of a boss who was dishonest, and he was left holding the bag. So he was facing bankruptcy, and remember my attitude about the business, and think about how many of you, raise your hand if you have had an experience where you've helped someone with the oils and it's been moving or touching in your life. That's why most people get involved with doTERRA. Did you know a lot of network marketing companies, people get involved? There's a larger percentage who get involved because of the business. We still have people getting involved because they like network marketing and they want to do it, but the largest percentage of the people are here because they can help people with the oils and they love the oils. Did you know over 100,000 people on my team? I would say that probably over 98% of people, of my biggest builders, some of you are here today, did not want anything to do with the business. Most of my biggest builders hated the business idea. They loved the oils, they started helping people, and they couldn't shut up about it, right? That's what happens, we can't stop, and we go, well, if I'm gonna talk about it, I might as well make money. Well, my friend who was filing bankruptcy, they had a lot of kids, I was really close friends, I'm really close friends with his wife, and they were going to lose their home, the kids were gonna have to leave the school they were in. It was devastating, and it was humiliating for my friend, and shameful. You go through all those emotions. Anyone who's ever been in a financial bind, you know what that feels like. And they started building doTERRA. And when they started building, within about 6 to 8 months, they were at $5,000 a month. And it saved their home. It saved them having to move. It saved them having to get their cars repossessed. And I will tell you that if you think about the times when you've helped someone with the oils and it has been life-changing for them, that was the first time I felt that way about the business. When I thought, okay, this is important. And if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. And that's when I got more serious about it. So the training that I do with my leaders, the leaders that I work personally with will tell you I'm adamant about, if we're gonna do it this way. And the reason is not because I think I'm so brilliant, but because I've made all the stupid mistakes. And I know what happens if you don't follow that pattern. And my job is to make sure they don't have to go through the same things I went through. Okay, any questions about that? Let's go back. Okay, doesn't look like it. Yeah. Yeah.
At the bottom it said, when you meet their needs, right?
Mm-hmm. On the last slide. Is it this one, this slide right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as I've been thinking about this, growing a little bit further, would you say that the needs as in what they need in their business is equal value to the needs of just in life? Like, what did they do for your friends? Did you need to watch their kids?
That's a good question. She said, for those of you who can't hear, she said, which need of theirs is the most important? Is it they need a friend, they need someone to watch their kids, they need help with their health, so it's the oils, they need money. You know what? You will let them tell you. They will be able to answer that question. And we make the mistake a lot of times we decide what their need is. We know that they've been out of work for 1.5 years, and so we decide that's what they need help with. It is not your business making that decision. It's their decision. Find out. And so that was a good question.
I have a question. So I'm fairly new to doTERRA, and I wanted to know, how can you share with people experience that you didn't have yet? I mean, like, you had a lot of experience sharing the oil and you had experience with healing people, but what if you don't have it? What is a good approach?
Okay, he said, I'm brand new to doTERRA. I don't have those experiences to share with people, it's helped my health this way, or I've been, we've had this kind of success. And that is also a really good question. I'll tell you, when I first got started, I had been to 2 classes by Dr. Hill, and that is all. And so guess what I did? I just shared his stories. I had gotten rid of a headache, and I had a niece who had been having seizures. So usually you're involved because whoever introduced you had a story, right? So you can share their story, and if you're using the oils, you'll start having your stories right away. But it doesn't matter. Until you have your stories, share the stories that you've heard. A woman who had breast cancer, this is what happened. Or the lady who was teaching the class has a niece who was having seizures. You use those stories, and it very quickly turns into your stories. And man alive, those of you who teach, raise your hand if you have hundreds and thousands of stories. You get to hear lots of stories in those classes, Ryan.
Online there are a lot of places where people put their testimonies, because maybe while he's sharing, he doesn't have people that have those experiences. I know you took it up.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Looking online, you can see a lot of people that have said, hey, I did A, B, and C with these oils, but
yes. Okay, so let me just kind of review what he just said. He said, if you don't even have somebody who has had experiences, let's say you found doTERRA online, like somebody said earlier, who was it that said that? That they found it on Craigslist. Okay, so what you can do is look online, find people's stories online. It takes, about a day using the oils before you figure out that they work, right? You might not want to admit it. You might want to say, well, I think I was getting better, right? I think I was already getting better. Okay, So, let's talk about growing your business. How do I go from 1,000 PV to 3,000 PV? Because usually people who get started and are sharing, they start to realize people want to use the oils. If you've gone a little ways into this, and even if you've been casually sharing, you've got people who are buying, wanting to use it. How do I hit silver in 60 days? And is that even possible? Is it possible? Yes, yes it is. Now, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I want you, Adrian, would you come and introduce? And come and talk about why you were pointing. Adrian is one of my qualifying leads, and she's an amazing leader. She's got teams all over the place, and so she's going to share with you a little bit about why she's getting so excited right here.
First of all, where's Roger?
Oh, he had to go.
Oh, he had to go? Dang it, I want to embarrass him. He forgot one job. He forgot one job. That was being the tour guide at Disneyland on the Jungle Cruise. That's like when he was working himself through college. Anyways, Jana, she is from Hollywood, California. She has been with doTERRA for 4 months, and she just hit silver last month. And we were together last night. She said, "You're my upline, so I got to tell you what my goal is." And I said, "Well, what's your goal?" She goes, "My goal is to hit platinum by next month." And I said, "Okay, what are you gonna do?" And she has it. She has her goal set. And I am there cheering her on, and I'm so proud of her. And she is constantly out there working it and touching people's lives. And if any of you have the privilege to meet with her or hear her story, it's absolutely amazing. I know it is kind of private for some people, but I just wanted to recognize your hard work, and we're all so proud of you. Keep going.
Yeah, and based on what I've seen from that team, she probably will hit platinum next month. So, okay, sometimes we feel like we are taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Do you ever feel that way? Sometimes it feels that way. Okay, I want you to watch this video of a jet taking off, okay, and see if it doesn't feel like this is how your business goes, okay?
I'm not even going to try to open it up because I'm kind of in trouble. Okay, here we go. I don't think there's any sound.
Yeah, and that's why we're here today, right? Because you feel that, and then it goes whoosh. And remember I said, I don't care if you're diamond, blue diamond, presidential diamond. Okay, if you are diamond, don't stand yet, but wait till I'm done. If you are diamond and above, and you ever have days where you feel like, okay, this is going too slow, I'm not going fast enough, something is wrong, stand. If you're diamond and above, okay? We have a presidential diamond out in the hall. Okay, wait, no, stay standing. What about silvers and above who feel that way? Stand up. I'm not kidding, stand up. Okay? When you are an overachiever, just get used to it because you're gonna feel like that sometimes, okay? Okay, we're gonna talk about habits. And by the way, I will just tell you this, because of the topics that I was requested to cover today by the leaders who had requested this training, don't feel bad to get up and take a break. Because the only break, I'm gonna stop at 5 o'clock, so those of you who wanna go get dinner can go, and we'll take a 10-minute break at that time. And at 5:10, I'm gonna continue training for those who want to sit in here. You're welcome to go get your dinner and come bring it in here, whatever you wanna do. Okay, but that's the only break. We'll take that break at 5, from 5 to 5:10. Then we'll also take a break at 6 o'clock, and at 6:10 we'll start the spa training. Okay, so just so you have a heads up of what's going to happen. So let's talk about creating the right habits. Because there are certain things with my leaders that I require that they do every day, Monday through Friday. There are certain things that they're required to do every week, and certain things they're required to do every month. So we're going to talk about exactly what those are. Now, I want you to notice on your goal sheet that you have, we've left room for you to write those down. And a little bit later, we're going to talk about how to set your rank goals and financial goals. Because there are 3 categories that I require my leaders to do when they're first starting. What we do is the plan is, okay, we're gonna follow this system until you hit diamond. When you hit diamond, you do whatever you darn well please. Because what my goal is to help them bypass any of those potholes that I hit, things that cause me problems for my team, that they won't know yet. They don't realize until later. I can't tell you how many times when we talk about some of the things that we'll talk about today, silvers it takes a lot to get to silver. That's a great rank. It's not easy. But I have silvers, I've had blue diamonds come and say, oh my goodness, I wish I had known that at the beginning. And that's why I get so excited about training. That's why I'm willing to take a Saturday to go over training, and that's why I won't stop for more than 10 minutes at a time, is because if I had somebody to guide me and teach me the things that I know now, my income would be twice as much. No, actually it would be 3 times as much as it is right now. If I had known how to do it exactly right from the beginning. And so if you see me getting adamant and I say, you have to do it like this, and I get like this, so just realize that's why. I am trying to protect you, okay? So let's talk about yearly and quarterly habits. This is a more general thing. You need to plan on attending doTERRA convention. You've got to be at leadership retreat, and I want you to look at those dates. In order to attend the leadership retreat this year, you have got to hit silver by January 31st. Okay? So I would love to see all of you guys there. So just start figuring out what your goal is going to be. And you can come on March, you notice it's March 8th and 9th. You can come on March 7th if you are diamond by January 31st. So there's a special day extra for those of you who hit diamond or above. Now, there are 3 things I want to talk about. Notice how it says push to premier, sprint to silver competition, and destined for diamond. You can name it whatever you want, but what I want to talk to you about is, well, the push to premier is, what's a premier? How many of you know what a premier is? Raise your hand. Okay, some probably don't know. What a premier is someone who has 2 legs underneath them that are personally enrolled by them. One of those legs has, well, both of the legs have at least $2,000 of volume, plus they have another $1,000 of volume somewhere else in their team, or it can be in one of those legs, it can be split between those legs, but they've got a total of $5,000 of volume. So sometimes we'll do incentives with our team. Let's say I've got some leaders who they're trying to help their team. For example, we recently had 5 leaders who were trying to hit platinum. They wanted to hit platinum, but guess what? Guess who always gets the recognition? The golds, the silvers, the platinums, the diamonds, right? That's who always gets a lot of recognition. So we were working with our leaders and said, you know what? Let's give the recognition this time to somebody who doesn't usually get it. Let's go find the people on your team who we're trying to help them hit elite. Because, for example, if they want to hit premier, how many elites do they need on their team? I'm going to write it up here because some of you guys are kind of new. We'll hang those back up. Remind me to hang these back up before you guys leave so people can write on there. And then everybody can see where those contacts come from. Okay? So, can everybody see, sort of? I'll try to write it big. This is a platinum. A platinum has 3 silver legs. Okay? So a silver has to have 3 legs that are $3,000 each. Okay? So these are each 3K. So if they need to be silver, if all of these need to be silver, how many elites do they need for this person to hit platinum? 9. How many of you are elite or higher in this room? Raise your hand. And I want you to really raise it, and everybody look around. Okay? You can hit elite. Anybody can hit elite. I'm not saying this because, you know, anybody, the reality is we'll talk about how anybody can hit Presidential Diamond, and I'm not kidding, and I don't say that facetiously either, okay? It's about the elites. It's all about the elites. If you can help someone hit $3,000 of volume, then you can become a premier. Because what we did is we focused on those 9 that we wanted to help them hit elite. But guess what? If they hit elite, is it always stable? Right from the beginning? No. So I'd rather help them hit premier. So we did push to premier. So for those 9 people on every, all 4 of those people who were trying to hit platinum, 5, I can't remember, but we did a push to premier, where if you got $3,000 of volume and you can set it up so that it's $3,000 of volume 3 months in a row or whatever you want to do. I wouldn't do it just 1 month in a row because they could hit it accidentally or because somebody buys a diamond kit and then it's not really stable. But they've got to hit it for a certain amount of time, and then the first people, then they're the ones who get the prizes. The premiers don't get the prize because guess what? The premiers are getting their prize. They get to be premier. That's what this does. So it's that same concept for sprint to silver competition. If we're trying to focus on the silvers, let's say we feel like, you know what, these silvers right here are the ones that need help right now. Let's focus on them. Let's do things to help them hit silver, and even though that's the focus, and they might be the ones that win the prize, guess what? We're still going to focus on the elites. Each of them need 3 elites. We're going to help them get their elites successful, okay? So, I'm going to leave the pins over there and the remote control over there. Yeah. Base it on what you can afford or what works for you, okay? Because when we first started, like when we didn't have money to give out big prizes or anything like that, the prize might be we'd have them, the couple over for dinner, and we kind of make a big deal about it. So it really can be anything. Well, our last push to premier, we had, I think, 40 or 45 people that we were trying to help them hit premier. And so the top prize was a week paid vacation, including airfare to Mexico. Okay, well, that didn't happen until we were presidential, right? Don't be feeling bad that you can't do those prizes, but let your team know, look, and when you've got 40 people thinking there's no way I'll win a prize, I want it to be a prize that they feel like, wow, it's worth working for, right? But a lot of times, and your upline can help you too. So for my people, I was trying to help them hit platinum. If they want to do an incentive where they say, I'd like to do this, where I offer free oil for the winners, or you know, maybe we're going to do this prize, or we give them this, but I can't do it by myself. Can you help me? Guess what? We're happy to help our leaders do those things. Okay? Oh, Diamond Club. Participate in Diamond Club. And one of the things that we've been talking about, my husband and I, and we've been starting to talk to some of the other leaders in doTERRA, is we want to do a Diamond Prep. I don't know if we want to call it Diamond Boot Camp, but that sounds kind of scary. Diamond Prep, because Diamond Club is boot camp, right? Diamond Club is boot camp. And so actually, is Chris Stolworthy here? Come here, I'd like Chris to come talk to you about Diamond Club for a minute. Is there another Chris Stolworthy in our here too? So Chris is another one of my qualifying legs for Presidential Diamond. You think I'm grateful to Chris? Yeah, I am very grateful for Chris, and she's a super hard worker. She did Diamond Club this last time. And so I'd like her to tell you, number one, about how hard it is and what made it successful. Take just like 3 minutes.
How hard is it and how it was successful. Okay. I think Diamond Club is hard, but it can be as hard as you make it. I sat with my family beforehand, and we really sat down and decided, am I going to do this? And my family supported me all the way, and so it worked. So I think that's really important. If you've got people around you, make sure that they're involved and they're there supporting you, and then do what it takes to get it done. And sometimes I was just ready to give up. I remember the last month, I was like, oh, I just don't know if I want to do any more trips. I wanted to be home. And it was my kids that were like, no, Mom, you need to do this. Like, you've committed, come on, let's do it. So it can be very hard, but I think the way you plan it, where you go, will make a lot of difference. Plan your trips so that you're accomplishing a lot in in that one trip, and just do what you need to do to get it done, because it is worth it. I mean, there's not a lot of times that you will get the opportunity to go different places and be reimbursed for it if you accomplish certain things. That was huge to me. It got me places that I would never have been. And I have met a lot of friends along the way, and it's just been a great journey. And then tell me, I'm sorry, the second thing?
Yeah, I wanted you to tell them, were there times when you more than achieved the requirements for Diamond Club in a month?
Oh, yes, yes.
And were there times when you didn't achieve what you needed to achieve and had to work with doTERRA and make it work?
Yes, and because I had overachieved in certain months, that helped me on those other months. Right.
So just realize they want to help you be successful. So, and what rank are you?
Platinum.
Platinum. So can you give her? So I just want to tell you guys that we're going to be working with the other leaders in doTERRA to try to set up a weekly call that's a Diamond Prep thing, where people who've done Diamond Club can give you input, but if you want to be part of it, you're going to have to follow certain requirements. For example, there will be things that you need to do to start getting ready for Diamond Club. You're not going to start Diamond Club, but you might have to start scheduling certain classes. So rather than waiting until Diamond Club starts and say, okay, now I've got to have this many classes in a month, I better start scheduling. We're going to help get you ready for that, because a lot of people drop out of Diamond Club. There are a lot of people who drop out of Diamond Club and then do it again the next time, because now they realize, now I know what it is. It is hard, but it will help you be successful. These people are hitting Platinum and Diamond, and these are the biggest leaders in the company. So take advantage of Diamond Club, and if you want to be part of the doTERRA Diamond Club Prep, then what we're going to do is, there are certain things, for example, if you want a digital copy of this goal sheet, if you want information on certain things that we'll share with you today, then we have a sign-up form that you can put your name, your email, and you can check the boxes. There will be columns that say, I'd like information on this, on this, on this, on this. Or you can say, I want all. There's a column for all. I just send you everything that you have, and I can decide if I want it or not. And so, hint, that would be easy for us too. But we'll do whatever you want. So just keep that in mind. I'm excited about Diamond Club. And for those of you who are upline leaders and you have people on your team coming to you saying, hey, I'd like you to sponsor me for Diamond Club, will you? I'll tell you, if they are someone who will follow through, the answer should always be yes. From a business perspective, if you haven't looked at the numbers, it is worth every penny. So do it. I always do as many. And the first year that they did Diamond Club, I was hesitant because I hadn't worked it through. I hadn't worked out the business model and figured out if I was really going to get a return on my investment. And so I'm always more conservative until I can be sure. But I'll tell you, it's worth it every time. Okay. So these are your monthly habits, and you can write these on your sheet. And if there are any others that you want to do, then add those. These are the required for my leaders when I'm working with them. And let me tell you something. I told you I've made all the mistakes, so I've figured out ways to do it. And like Roger said, we get to work with some of the best leaders in doTERRA. And so we've learned a lot from them too. So this isn't just my plan. And I also want you to know, some of you are here and you're on people's teams who you might be on my team, but you have an upline leader who's Diamond or Blue Diamond or Presidential, and they have a great system that they like you to follow. The things I'm teaching you today, it doesn't matter. Do that system. Follow your leader's system, but you can incorporate what we're talking about into what you do. All right? So, for the monthly habits, let me show you this. So, and I'm going to be a little more basic because we do have newer people here too. If this is your first level, this is your second level, okay? And the people under here would be your third level. So my leaders are required to call their third level people once a month. Now this is a 10-minute call, and I am pretty adamant about that, and I'll tell you why. Because you wouldn't think you would need to say that. I used to say just, do a call. Do a call with your leaders every month. But guess what? If you are the upline leader and you like to do this, then guess what? You're going to lose leaders if you talk for an hour and every time you call, they're thinking, I'm never going to get off the phone. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for doTERRA. I have seen it happen over and over. It's a 10-minute call.
Are you calling level 3 builders or everyone?
Oh, good question. No, builders, like serious builders, okay? And now, keep in mind, each of these levels are taking care of their own leaders too. But we're gonna work our way up and I'll show you how it works. So, at first, well, this call is always a 10-minute call. And then guess what happens? Have you ever had somebody on your team who, this person says, I cannot work with this person. I cannot work with this upline. She is my sister and I can't stand her. Okay, sometimes that happens, right? Well, guess what? If I'm doing my monthly calls every time, then I'm in contact with this person and I can catch up with them. And they feel supported. And guess what I tell them? I say, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll, we all work together, and you don't need to worry about that issue. We'll just keep building and doing it this way, because we never ever want people. We don't ever want to encourage people to move somewhere else ever. Sometimes it happens, but we want to try to discourage that. And by the way, I'll just take a second right now to show you how I handle that, because I might have somebody who, and I don't care if they're on my team or not. A lot of times, my team is getting big enough that someone from over here wants to move to someone else on my team. And the normal mind would say, well, that doesn't matter because it still benefits me, it's on my team. That's not okay. There's a reason doTERRA feels the way it does, and we want to maintain that community. And remember how Roger at the beginning talked about doing this with integrity? Don't ever do that. If I have, and I don't care if they're wanting to move from someone else's team onto my team. Sometimes we're doing something really exciting and people find out about it and they say, I want to be on your team. Well, guess what I tell them? I say, well, you know what? We'll totally work with you. Come to our classes, come be part of it. But we don't move in doTERRA. Do you think I tell them, well, you know what? You can get 7 signatures and then you can move. I don't tell them that. I also don't tell them that if you haven't ordered for 6 months, you can move. I don't tell them anything. I just say, oh no, we don't do that in doTERRA. We don't move. And so just stay where you are and come to our meetings. You can totally do it with us. That's what I say every time. Now, if you have somebody who's really insistent and they say, no, I just found out my sister's over there and I am not going to stay where I am. I want to be with my sister. Then I'll say, okay, well, the only way you can do that is if you talk to your upline. And if they're real insistent and I can't help them feel good about where they are, then I'll tell them about, I say, well, you can do 7 signatures. You'd have to get permission from 7 levels above you and get those signatures. But please have that attitude. And you know what? We're not stupid. We know if we're saying all the right words, oh, well, we don't do that in doTERRA, but, oh, I'd love to work with you. Oh, we just don't do it. Don't do that. Don't go there. You know what game you're playing. Be real and tell them we don't do that. Okay? So, you're doing the monthly calls. Now, what if your downline person is the one, let's say you've got someone on your team right here and you're doing your monthly call, and this person is Mr. Greg, okay? And you know when you call them, they're going to go on and on and on. Guess what? They can blame it on the rules. There has to be a system. And so when they're going, let's say they go on and on and on, you know it's a 10-minute call, and they know it has to be a 10-minute call. So you can be understanding, caring, or we'll see what we can do about that problem, whatever, and say, okay, I've got, my next call is coming up. Usually I'll set mine 15 minutes apart, because then I've got my 10 minutes, but that way I'm not cutting them off and they're in the middle of crying and I'm going, gotta go, sorry, I don't want to do that either. So I'll give it 15 minutes. That way at 10 minutes, they just know it's done at 10 minutes. Now, I always teach my people that if you're doing your call with them, they need to call you. But sometimes on this call, you just call them. If they don't call you, they need to know that you're there for them, okay? When you're doing the frontline calls, which we'll talk about in a minute, this person absolutely needs to be the one that calls you. The reason is because it is their business. We're training them to take responsibility for their own business. If you're my leader, it's not my job to call you and make sure you're doing everything. It makes them feel excited. I'm taking care of my business, and I'll do that call. Okay, I've got to call Teresa. It's my call. Okay. Let's see what else you have. So those are some of the things you're going to talk about on the call. Review with your leaders what their goals are. Yeah, talking about their goals. How are things going? They can tell you the exciting things that are happening, because if there are certain relationships among your team that they don't feel like they can talk to their upline, then a lot of times I'll get someone who acts like, oh, finally somebody who cares about me. When this leader might be somebody who, I know this leader is amazing. I know if it's this, if this is me, this leader might be really amazing. They're doing everything right, and they love their team. They're really trying to help, but for some reason, maybe they clash. And they say, I don't have anybody who cares about me. All she cares about is doing her classes and herself and whatever. I don't care what it is. Then they have somebody. At least they feel like, wow, I'm getting this support, okay? So, I always want to point it at that. Okay, these are your weekly habits. Weekly habits, my leaders are required to call their second level once a week. Okay, now this, you really want to try to encourage them to call you. And the way it works is, they don't sign up, and let's say this is, let's say this is Sam, okay? Thank you, Adrian. I'm not going to just expect Sam to start calling me. He might not even know about this call, this weekly call that we need to do. So the initial call is my responsibility. I need to call Sam. If that's me up there, I need to call Sam and say, Sam, I'm so excited. He's going to be on our leader calls. I'll get to know him a little bit. But I'm going to call him and say, so how's it going? Have you set up your goals? I'm going to kind of follow up. It's almost a follow up from this leader. This leader's doing daily calls with him. So I'm going to call and say, so how's that going? How far have you gotten on your goals? That kind of stuff. So he feels cared about. But then what's going to happen is I'm going to say, what I want to do with you is I want to set up a weekly call so that we can make sure you're getting the support you need, that if you have any questions, you can get them answered. I know Jennifer is going to be taking good care of you, but I want to make sure you know you have support from me too. And it'll be it's a 10-minute call, just like your call with Jennifer. Okay, and how do you think that makes Sam feel? It's going to give him the support that he needs. And so what I do is I tell him, let's set it up. And then when we set it up, let's say we say 3 p.m. every day or once a week. Then I say, okay, so on Thursdays, would you give me a call at 3 p.m. every Thursday? You see how I'm not saying, hey, it's your responsibility to call me. I'm not doing that, but I'm making it very clear it's his job to call me. Because I don't want to take his responsibility and act like this is my business and I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to give him guidelines. He can do whatever he wants, but I want him to feel like, wow, this is my business. I'm going to take charge. We'll say this is Jen, because we are going to go over a lot of stuff. And we'll probably end up needing to refer to that some more, okay? So, these are for my serious builders, okay? They need to be having an essential oils class once a week, and they are, I'm trying to think what that was talking about. I don't know what I meant. So, the business training, they have to have an essential oils class once a week, and a leadership training once a week. Now, the way we work that out, because people are busy, right? Now we're starting to get into, oh, gee whiz, we have so many meetings and that's too much. Well, we have the Essential Oils class, let's say Thursday at 7 p.m. Then the leadership training is Thursday at 9 p.m. So we're not taking people away from their homes an extra night, or we can do the leadership training at 5 p.m. if we want. But I'll tell you a trick. And I didn't do this on purpose, but I figured it out, okay? So when we're doing our leadership training, let's say the leadership training is right before the essential oils class. Well, people are going to start coming a little bit early to the class, right? So I make sure I save anything that might be a little interesting, that might make someone think they might want to build. If we have something like that to talk about, I'm going to save that for the very end. Because then people are showing up, we say, oh, we're almost done with our business class. And then they overhear what's happening. And we've gotten builders that way. And again, not on purpose, but just happened. So now I do it on purpose. If the business class is after the essential oils class, then guess what? We'll do, something that might be interesting for those of you who want to stay after and kind of hear a little bit about the business. You're welcome to stay. And then I make sure they may not stay the whole time. So the first part I share is the part that might be the most intriguing. Okay. Now you have your leadership training, which is your business training for local leaders. But what if, as your team starts to grow and you start having leaders that are outside your local area? Richard, would you come up and talk about that for a little bit? Because you guys are awesome at doing your calls with your leaders. Richard is also platinum. He and Jen are another one of my qualifying legs. Would you give him a hand? Platinum is, I lied, they're diamonds. Sorry, they are diamonds. And by the way, I have to say that they had twins, and she hit diamond the same month that she had her twins, right before convention. So, here, Richard, tell them a little bit about
diamonds and about your calls.
stars about?
Okay, yeah, so my wife is pretty amazing. She does most of it. I have my own business as well. I do help her a lot with doTERRA. But she did hit diamond the same month. She had twins. She was pretty excited about that, and that was her goal. And I think, a lot of what they had talked about is she never let it, she could have used that as an excuse of, oh, I don't need to push it as hard this month. But it was funny. She was doing classes on bed rest, from her bed. And she could do conference calls. She was crazy. But she's been awesome. But anyways, yeah, so we work with our leaders. We try to, so a little bit how we work with our leaders.
Conference calls, how you started doing your conference calls and how that works.
Okay.
Where your leaders are, whatever.
Yeah, so we actually live in Idaho Falls. And Idaho Falls isn't that big, and most of our leaders are outside of Idaho Falls. So we actually do a lot of conference calls. We try to meet with them weekly. We do a weekly business training that we have scheduled every night that we try to invite everybody that wants to. And then, part of, and you got to find what works for you, because if I say this is exactly what works for me, isn't going to work for you. It might give you a good place to start, but that doesn't mean it will. So Jen, she does a lot of that, where she tells me what I need to do. And then I do then I do my part when she tells me what I need to do. But what she and really how she works with her leaders is she is very much a people person, and so she is in constant contact with all of our leaders every day in multiple scenarios about doTERRA, about their personal life. And so it's more of a constant thing that we do. And we do have structure of, we do our weekly meeting. But mostly I think it's just, Jen just is such a people person that works for her that she is just in constant contact with her people from a personal level and constantly talking about doTERRA and fielding questions and communicating with them. So I think that's her main strength in that area.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks. Give him a hand, Bridget. So I think it's about time to pass around peppermint, you think? We'll do that in just a minute, okay? Help you remember. And I want to show you. I told you sometimes I get adamant, right? About we've got to do it this way, we've got to do it this way. Let me show you something that happened with me. This was something I had to deal with on my team, and I'm actually still having consequences of it, but I'm getting to the end where I'm almost past this issue that I created because I did it wrong. Okay? So because I was not going to build, right, as I was signing people up, I didn't structure it properly. I didn't care how I structured it. I just put people in and it didn't matter. Okay? So what happened was, I had a team, it got to a point where somebody went nuts over here, and I had a huge team with $100,000 of volume, and there were leaders in between. So this leader had nobody to support her except for me, and guess what? When these people wanted to build, they had nobody. So instead of me having 3 builders, and that happened several places on my team, several. So instead of me having my 3 builders that I'm working with personally, I had over 50 builders that I would normally need to do the daily call with. And so guess what? If I'm doing 50 builders, and I'm not exaggerating either. So guess what? Do you think that my leaders always got a phone call back right away? No. And do you think that's the kind of leader I want to be? No, it was a real source of frustration. Do you think sometimes my leaders would get frustrated? And then I would need to, try to work with that or whatever. So it got to a point where if I had a new builder, I learned to, when I had a new builder come in, to say, in fact, Judd, are you in here still? Be ready, because I'm going to ask you, because he had to deal with this. When I've got a new builder who comes in and there's no upline leader to help them, or let's say, because sometimes, you can't just put them where you want. If it's so-and-so's brother down here, they're going to go under their brother, right? So if I've got somebody who comes in and they want to build, I'm working with too many builders. I can't promise them that I'm going to help them and make sure that I'm always doing the daily calls. So it got to a point where I would say, look, if you really want to do this, I don't want you to have to wait for 3 or 4 or 6 months until I'm done working with the leaders I'm working with. So we can start right now. I'll teach you exactly what to do, but we won't be able to do the daily calls. We'll be able to, you know what I mean? It was not the prime situation. So Judd is a dear friend of ours and has been forever. In fact, yeah, Judd, would you come on up here? This is how good of friends they are. When our house was being built here in Utah, we were moving from San Francisco, They offered to let us live with them. It was supposed to be a couple of months. Okay, 11 months later, we were still living with them and they still liked us. So Judd is one that came on as a builder. I'd like you to speak honestly about some frustrations you had because of not being able to get a hold of your upline support person, and then how you resolve those problems. Because he's got a growing team that's growing pretty fast and he has some pretty serious goals. So can you tell him what rank you are?
Gold.
And he hasn't been doing it that long, so can you give him a hand? And tell us what your next goal is and when.
Hopefully diamond before diamond level.
So, and he'll do it too, yeah. Okay, so.
I'm a dentist too. We are nice people. I was a casual doTERRA user from.
Wait. He was a closet user. Okay, he had not yet come out of the closet.
I was a casual doTERRA user for a little over 3 years, and it's not that I didn't believe in the products so much that I was a dentist, and it'd be difficult to replace my income as a dentist doing doTERRA. And but loved the products, and it was only, I think, in February or March that my wife and I decided to build. And I'm a full-time dentist, and my wife homeschools, and so we were trying to figure out when to do this. And Teresa, who used to be a really good friend of ours, when we lived together, you can imagine, had daily contact. Fortunately, we had a pretty large house, and so between our brood of children and their brood of children, we didn't run into each other too often, but we at least had daily contact. So now when we decided to start building, the likelihood of daily contact was almost zero, because at this point, Teresa's looking at her schedule going, well, we're going to be in Korea for 2 weeks, and then we've got this vacation, and if you don't know, and Teresa is not a closet vacationer. She goes at least 10 days every month on vacation now. She used to not do that, but so I'm in the now, and I get this, well, we're going to be here, and we're going to be there, and I'm thinking, for the next 90 days, there's 2 days that I can have this 10-minute phone call with you. And it was frustrating, and I think probably the biggest frustration of it was, I took it as well, we're friends, aren't we? And how come I'm not getting the training that we're talking about? And she was very clear with me that she just didn't have time to do it. And with my wife being busy and with me being busy as a full-time dentist, just really felt the frustration of, and we are not getting anywhere. And I'm not on Teresa's front line. I'm a couple levels down from her, and the people in between us are not as active builders either. So, I couldn't call either of them for information. And so it literally would be this email that got sent to Korea, and then when it was daytime and Roger or Teresa weren't busy in Korea, they'd email back. And I don't know if you've ever tried to have a detailed conversation through email, but when you're trying to learn something, it's not nearly as effective as when you're just trying to communicate some simple things or times and whatnot. And so I've got to say that I'm a big proponent of staying in touch with people, making the phone calls, and if people aren't making the phone calls to you, trying to make the phone calls to them, your team will grow a lot faster.
Can you tell them what you did because you didn't have that? The one thing I like about Judd is that he has taken action. He's gold, right? He hasn't had as much help, but he just decided he was going to do it anyway. So would you talk a little bit about what he did?
Well, my wife was the driver behind doing this finally. I'm an adventure racer, and why I decided to start building wasn't because my income didn't make me happy or my job didn't make me happy, but I was on a 200-foot cliff, and I don't know, it wasn't so much a cliff, it was 200 feet down on both sides, and we were trying to save about an hour of time to a checkpoint that everybody else was going around for. And we're a very good adventure racing team, and so we do the unusual thing, and I'm deathly afraid of falling off this cliff for the first time, and there's a tree growing right in the middle. And we're about 15 minutes bushwhacking, and the people that were trying to follow us had already bailed off. We made it around this tree, and literally I could see the flag, 100 yards away.
and the end of the cliff had broken away, and so we had to leap like 10 feet to get back to the cliff to get the end to shimmy down this tree that we were grateful was there because we didn't know how we were going to get down when we got to the end. We just hoped. Anyway, I got home thinking, you know, if I get hurt, my family's in big trouble because I can't work. And if I die, my family's in great shape because I have a very good life insurance policy. And I know that's funny to hear, but you can imagine, I've got 5 kids, and so this happened right before Teresa came to visit, and just never pushed us into doing doTERRA, but I finally realized it'd be nice to have some type of residual income, and I may or may not replace my personal income as a dentist, but it would be nice to know that if I got hurt or something happened, that my wife could run the business. So she was the driver behind it initially, but kind of backed off it with her responsibilities with homeschooling and some other things with our church. And so all of a sudden it was on my lap, and I was like, I am not going to fail, because Teresa knows if I'll fail or not. If it was some other business, it might be different, but Teresa can daily look at what's going on with me, even if I can't have this contact with her. And so it was, I don't know how to say it other than that you really do have to set some goals, and every day, and even if that goal is, whatever the goal might be, you write it down, put it up there, and just, you have to have a why. My why was big enough, and I didn't understand the difference between a why and a goal until I read quite a bit about it, until I had this frightening experience. And I'm a daredevil. I jump out of planes or rappel down, 1,000-foot cliffs and stuff. It's not, this fright that I had on top of this cliff was a big one for me. That why was big enough for me to keep me going when it was frustrating. And I tell you, Teresa and I were just casual acquaintances. It'd be different. But I grew up with her husband. We're very close. We lived with them for almost a year, and we never ever had an argument or an issue ever. Our kids. Or as a family, every time we sat down to reevaluate, are we going to do this another month because this has been going on for a little while, never had a problem.
Now I know something. Except that he always wanted the refrigerator so cold that the lettuce would freeze. Thank you so much, John.
And there's no Miracle Whip in my refrigerator.
Thank you, Judd. Can you guys give him a hand? She wants to know if you've replaced your income yet. The answer is no, not yet, but he's on his way for sure. And so another reason I wanted you to hear a little bit about his story is because, did you hear how we talked about that relationship that mattered? If we'd been casual acquaintances, it wouldn't have mattered so much. If you create a situation with your leaders, I don't care if you were casual before, if you create a situation where you're friends, you cannot build this business without becoming close friends with the people you work with. Lisa?
Teresa, can you just talk briefly? I know that these can kind of be intertwined about, one of the problems that I have, which I know many people would love to have this problem, is I have recruited so many people personally and continue to on a weekly basis that it's hard to put them somewhere, 5, 6, 7 levels down and then say, okay, you have to work with that person where they don't even know them. And so I find between my phone and my email and text and on, I've got hundreds of people reaching to me because I've enrolled them. How do we...
Okay, we are going to talk about that. Thank you. So when we are talking about placements and we'll talk about something I call the 3 pathways, and we're going to talk about placements and exactly how to place people and why, and that will help. That will solve that problem for you. Okay?
Will freeloaders just go freeloading forever
No, and I will answer that question too when we talk about placements, okay? So that can be a frustration. So yeah? Yeah, the question is if you have a builder that is building, but then something happens in their life where they've got to back off, how do you handle that kind of thing? And yes, we're going to cover that too. We'll talk about that as well, okay? And in the 3 pathways. Okay, one more question back here. Yeah, talk really loud. Yeah. Okay, Judd. Could you stand? She wants to know, you didn't finish about the question between the goal and the why, probably because I took the microphone. So, what's the difference between a goal and a why from what you learned?
Well, a goal you don't necessarily achieve. You try and set high goals, so you're thrilled when you reach them. If you're reaching your goals all the time, you're setting it well. But a why is why you want to get there. A why is never about money. It's never about I want to make this much money. It's why you want to make that kind of money. I want a residual income in case something happens to me, so I know my family's safe. Instead of, I got student loans still, I got house payment, I'm a normal guy. I just went to really school for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of debt. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, yeah? Yeah, come and show them.
Really fast.
Yeah.
And it totally
Okay, wait, use the mic.
It totally changed my mind, and I can feel it in me that it's totally igniting. And it's because this is how your body works. So. Okay. So this is your mind. And your mind is not your brain. Your mind is actually what you're thinking. So you have a conscious mind, and then you have a subconscious mind. And then you have your body that does what your subconscious thinks. So it's important that when you set your goal, when you're setting your goal, it's a conscious decision. But then when you don't have a why, you can't achieve your goal, because sometimes maybe you're thinking, oh, who am I to think that? Why do I deserve it? That's not me, and you have these subconscious thought that's been put into you when you're a kid. When you're a kid, your conscious mind it's totally open. You take whatever people tell you. You can't talk when adults are talking, stuff like that, so you close your mouth. There's a lot of times that we learn about stuff like that, so it's very, very important that you have to have a why so that you can access into your subconscious and overcome your negative thoughts and your self-limiting beliefs, the stuff that we're talking about. So that is absolutely important. And the way you get there is you have to have emotions. That's why it's important when you're doing your affirmations that you have to have emotions, and you're saying what you want to have happen, not ever saying nevers.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much. And you give our
You know what? I love that because I love that because did you notice when Judd was talking, you notice he's a very analytical person, you could probably tell. As he started talking about his why, you could feel the change, couldn't you? It's exactly what she's talking about right there. Okay, so these are the weekly habits. What you're doing with your consumers, you'll notice on your weekly and the daily habits, it will say help consumers learn to use the products. Because guess what? It depends on the consumer. If you've got a consumer who's got a child with autism and another one who has asthma and another one who has different issues, then you might be on the phone with that person every day. You might be on the phone with that person a couple times a week. Your job is to make sure they know how to use the oils, that they feel comfortable calling you with any essential oil questions. And I'm going to teach you how to make sure you don't have too many people that are depending on you for that, because it can get kind of crazy. Okay? So, these are the daily habits. You need to be doing a call with your frontline leaders every single day, Monday through Friday. Until what happens is, it'll get to a point where they are independent, where they're so big, they're so busy, they don't really have time for you anymore. They already know what to do, they don't need you, then guess what? The calls might turn into more like I got Richard and Jen. They're diamond, they're independent, they know exactly what to do, they don't need me at all. But guess what? Sometimes discouragement sets in, or they run into kind of a bigger problem that maybe they haven't come across yet. And so we're there for each other whenever those things come up, but we're not doing daily calls anymore. And that is the natural progression of a leader. We're not trying to create a situation where Teresa is the big leader that I want everyone to do. That's not what this is about. If that's what it is, then I'm not a very good leader. Because if I'm not creating leaders who become the bigwig of their own team and helping them create leaders who are the bigwigs of their team, that's what it's about. Not, of course, becoming the bigwig, but making sure that they are what's important to their team, not me. Okay? Personal development. My leaders are required to do an hour of personal development every day. Half hour of that needs to be in a book. Some sort of personal development book. The first book that I recommend that they do is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It is a phenomenal book. I had one of my leaders, after she started reading it, she called me, and I can't even remember if it was a voicemail or if it was in person, but she was calling me and saying, that book is unbelievable, that is awesome. It's a great, great book. And so I pretty much kind of require that they start with that book. I recommend that you can get it for your leaders if you can. Get it for yourself and start today. Do not let yourself make an excuse for that hour of personal development. Because I promise you, I don't care what else you learn, I don't care who you have helping you or don't have helping you, if you do your hour of personal development every day, you will be successful because you will not be able to just sit there and not take responsibility and do something about it. Okay? So, half hour of that is in a book. Half hour of that is learning about doTERRA. You can go to builddoterra.com, which is Justin Harrison's website, that he's the master distributor. For those of you who don't know, he's got a website that has tons of videos. Dr. Hill videos and webinars. Some of the biggest leaders in the company are teaching about the products. Rob Young is teaching about the product. You can go to doTERRAuniversity.com. Is that what it's called? Yeah. doTERRA University. I don't care where you go. You can go to everythingdoterra.com. I want them spending a half hour learning about the products and the business. So if they're needing to learn about the oils because they realize I don't know how to use Deep Blue or what do I do for Candida, they can go look up those issues on the videos on builddoterra.com. But if they start going, oh, but how does the Founders Club work? And how does that second level, how do I get paid on my second level? Then spend that time watching the videos about business. Doesn't matter to me. I want them to watch any videos that help them learn about doTERRA. Any questions about those? They need to be using the product. It's kind of funny. At first, when you're working with a leader, you might not think to teach them that, but we're busy. And when somebody's new to the oils, how many times have you heard somebody say, they'll say, oh my goodness, my son has the flu, in his stomach, he keeps throwing up, he's been throwing up for 3 days. And you go, oh, we'll use Digestin. And they go, oh, duh. Have you heard that? I've heard that a lot of times. When they're new, you don't think to use the oils all the time. Okay? How to go from 1,000 to 3,000. Can it be done? Yes, we already talked about that. And you get to $1,000 of volume just sharing the oils or having a class. 1 or 2 classes, depending on how the classes go, right? But it may not be something that's going to happen every single month until you're growing and teaching people how to use the oils. But if you have classes every single week and you have classes off of those classes, like usually what I'll do at the end of a class, I don't do it at the beginning. The last thing I want to do in a class at the beginning of an essential oils class is say, we'll do these classes everywhere. Because guess what? What do you feel when you go to a class like that? What are you thinking when you're sitting there? What do you think I want from you? I want money. I want you to buy something. That's the last thing they want to make their friends sit through. Okay? But when we're done with an essential oils class, everybody's excited about the oils. They see that we didn't do it pushy. We didn't do it in a way that was annoying or yucky or network marketing. We didn't try to recruit them to do the business. So now by the time we're done, when I say at the end, and guess what, we teach these classes everywhere. We come in as guest speakers to massage therapy schools or chiropractic schools. We'll teach in people's homes. It doesn't matter I'll tell them it doesn't matter the size of the group. We come in and teach classes. And guess what happens? Almost every time after a class, someone will come and say, well, will this help with my grandma's arthritis? And we start having a conversation. Oh my goodness, there are some oils that will help with that. We start talking about it, and then we start talking about, it might get to a point where often it'll get to a point where I'll say, you know what, we can totally have a class in her neighborhood. Let's set up a class. We'll come and meet with her, go over her problems, and then let's have a class after that. She can just invite the neighborhood. And do you think they're nervous to have a class? No, because they've already seen the class, and now they know it's not something that's scary, that they have to be nervous about. Okay, sometimes I'll set up a class because let's say we're talking about grandma's arthritis, and what happens is they'll say, well, you know, we need helichrysum, we need frankincense, we need deep blue, we need all these oils, we want her to be on that lifelong vitality pack, and they're saying, well, my grandma doesn't have any money. Does that happen? Yeah, a lot. So you want to know what I'll say? You know what, let's do this. Let's set up a class in your grandma's neighborhood. Because if we do a class, people love the oils, and then anybody who buys from the class, your grandma gets the commission. So you can get tons of classes off of classes just by helping people feel like you're not going to be pushy. You're just going to help. You're willing to help anybody who wants to learn about the oils. And then pretty soon you run into people who say, you know what, my friend owns a natural health food store. I bet she would want to talk to you. So you run into those kinds of things. All my best friends were not the spa directors in Las Vegas. They were not the people who owned health food stores. I didn't have a single person that I knew that would want to be a builder or that I thought might want to be a builder in Japan or Korea or Australia or Taiwan. And guess what? I have massive teams in those countries. But not because I knew somebody. Because somebody talked to somebody who talked to somebody. And then it just spreads like crazy. It happens. Did I skip one? Okay. So, remember how we talked about focusing on elite? Help your leaders hit elite? Because guess what? If you help your 3 leaders hit elite, that $3,000 of volume, you are silver. And now guess what happens? Now, I gotta use black. Okay, so let's say that you are silver, here you are. Now you're, this person, let's say this person is silver, and you've been focusing on helping these guys hit elite, right? Well, as soon as these guys hit elite, now what do you want to do? Now you want to hit the next rank, right? So now you go down a level and help these guys hit elite. And then when you want to hit the next rank, you go down a level, and guess what? Your management skills get better because you've had practice. So by the time you're down here and you've got 18 people you're trying to help them hit elite, so you can be Presidential Diamond, the beauty of it is all of your time spent is all about them. It becomes not about, I want to hit Presidential Diamond, so we need to get you to elite. That's not what it's about. I know, who wants that, right? And so it's weird how doTERRA naturally is that way because the oils are about helping people. And it's so funny because, remember how I told you 98% of my team, my leaders, did not want to do the business? They came in because they loved the oils. Well, the 2% that came in because they wanted to do the business, it's so funny because we started building and they're bringing in business leaders, and that's the way it was. And it didn't take very long, and they would kind of actually even laugh at people who were crying about the oils. Rude, right? But they didn't understand. It's because they didn't understand. More than half of this room thought the oils were dumb. So you can understand that. You're sitting there going, how rude that they were laughing at people. But hello, most of us were there, right? So they were thinking, oh my goodness, they're up there crying about lavender. Okay? And it was so funny because it didn't take long. It wasn't more than a couple months before those leaders were standing up sharing their stories in our classes and crying because of what the oils had done for them. It's like Judd said, it's about your why, what that why is for. Okay, the Empower Kit. I just want to touch on that for a second. The Empower Kit is amazing. That idea was, Elise Shedevin came up with that idea, and it is brilliant. I think with some other leaders too, but she was the main one behind that idea. And that idea, for those of you who don't know, it's a kit that you can buy that is really discounted. And so it has some invitation cards for a class, and it also comes with 20 bottles of wild orange. And you get those at cost. So it doesn't count toward PV or anything like that. But what happens is there's this very specific way they write on the invitation. You give the invitation to someone, and you don't just give it to them. You are going to give them the invitation, but you say, I'm having a class. Do you think this is something you'd be interested in? And if they say yes, I say, can you come? And if they can't come, you say, I've got 20 free gifts, and I've only got 20. And so, or if you're going to do it, split it up, I've got 10 free gifts, I've only got 10, so I'm only going to give these to someone who can actually come. So I don't even give them the invitation unless they say they want to come, like they're going to come. And then when they finally, and of course you don't want to be rude about it, but once I finally hand it to her, then I say, okay, so make sure you bring this with you, because that's the only way you get your free gift. So guess what? Guess what the percentage of people are showing up at those classes is a lot higher than before. And plus they get a free gift. Okay, yeah?
Teresa, that's only $2.50 for them to get a magazine full of information and
Thank you. Okay, for those who didn't hear, she said it's only $2.50 per person for them to get a magazine. Right. The magazine, she's right, it's full of information, and you get the bottle of wild orange. And it's something you can try. Try it and see if it works. If it works for you, which we've seen that it does, then what happens is your return on investment is, if you're making more than $2.50 per person that comes, then it's worth it. How many of you, if you knew that you could spend $50,000, but you'd get $55,000 back, how many of you would do it? Duh, right? It's all about return on investment. So you've got to figure out if that works for you. But I'll tell you what, if you learn how to do it the way they teach, it works. It's an amazing tool, okay? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. How to hit silver in 60 days. Okay, that last slide we talked about hitting elite. Now, well, I kind of jumped the gun because that's what it is. It's helping your 3 hit elite. And remember how we do push to premier, because I don't want to just help them hit elite. I want them to reach a little bit higher. But what I do with my incentives, depending on the situation, but for that one, if they hit elite, like we're doing push to premier, and they only hit elite, I'll still give them a little prize, maybe a bottle of oil or something. And you might, if you can't afford to do that yet, that's okay. At the beginning, I was not giving stuff away because I couldn't. But what happens is you can give them a certificate. Congratulations, you hit elite. They're going to get one from doTERRA, but guess what it means when they get it from you? It matters. Okay? I've been kind of referring to this as we go. How many elites does it take to hit silver? 3, right? How many elites do you need for platinum? How many? Figure it out. If this person's trying to hit platinum, these 3 have to be silver. 9, right? How many elites do you need to hit diamond? 12. What about presidential? It's 18, right? It's 18. Okay, do you think that Richard and Jen started at diamond, or they jumped to diamond in a month? They did it fast. They followed the training and they did it fast, but they helped one person hit elite, or a couple of people hit elite as they were building and just doing their classes, just like everybody has to do. Diamond sounds so, like, they're a presidential diamond. Guess what? Still the same old Teresa I was before, but I've learned a lot along the way. So once you help one person hit elite, you cannot stop. You're not going to stop, because now you know how to do it. And a lot of times, we get a lot of times, and maybe this is you right now, where people say, well, I just want to get to silver. I just want to get to silver because then I can be making this much a month and that will be good for me. There was somebody I wanted to call up here. I'm trying to remember who it was, who had hit silver in a short time. Darn, I can't remember. But when you hit silver, This is what happens. And in fact, if this is you, I want you to stand up. Let me finish first, and then I want you to stand because this happens all the time. How many of you weren't necessarily sure you could hit presidential? You might have had a goal to hit higher ranks or whatever, but you thought, I want to be silver. I just want to get to silver. And then once you got to silver, you realized, oh my goodness, all I do is just keep doing the same thing I've been doing all along, and I will just keep making more money. Stand up if that was you. If you realize that right around silver, because that's usually when people start to figure that out. Up until then, they're not so sure they can go all the way to diamond. I can't be the highest rank in a network marketing company. But once they hit silver, so if you can help your leaders hit silver by helping them with 3 elites, it will make all the difference. Because they will hit silver and they will not stop. At that point, they go, I get it. I have classes where no one shows up. I have classes where 10 people show up. A class where 2 people showed up. I've cried over this. I've celebrated over this. Oh my goodness. That's exactly what you do. You just keep going. You just be consistent and it works. Okay? Don't let yourself make excuses. Gary?
Teresa, are those personally enrolled people who become elites or just people?
No. If to be diamond, you need 6 personally enrolled platinums. So that just, if you work your way down to help the lower levels, then you're helping elites hit their rank. Richard?
Can I just reemphasize that?
Yeah.
With Jen and I hitting diamond, honestly, thinking about like hitting diamond is like, we never ever thought we'd get there. But as soon as you break it down in your organization, as you kind of move along, it's like, okay, who am I going to get elite? Really just focus on the elites in your organization and you'll get there. And it breaks it down so it's so much easier and it breaks it into bite-sized chunks. So just reemphasize that. That's very important.
Thank you.
No, that was good. Thanks. And perfect timing too. Okay, yeah?
So with those were those elites coming to you, or did you have to look and say, okay, here's what I'm going to help?
Okay, wait, the question was, did those elites come to you and want to work, or did you have to go find them? So yeah, go ahead.
So it's different, some are like, some people are like, oh, I totally want to build and go gangbusters on it. And those ones actually do it on their own. We don't have to put a ton of work on them. We just kind of give them the outlines that Teresa's worked with. But however, probably about 50% of them, we have to go like, okay, how are we going to get this person to elite? And we put a lot of time into that. So it's kind of 50-50. Some, yeah.
Now wait, you're not saying that you built it for them, right?
No.
Yeah.
We help them. Yeah. Yes. So we go and work with them and really get them going. Yeah, but it's their business and we will help them develop it. Once again, most of our builders are outside of where we're.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jen's actually my cousin, and she helped me sign up with doTERRA. And something that she always said to me is, she said, you didn't know you were a builder, I knew you were a builder before. And I said, well, what do you mean? How did you know that? Because I didn't start building until January. And she said, you were the kind of person that everybody calls me all the time about, well, what do I use this oil for? Diet stuff, and that's part of my other business that I do. But because of that, she knew I was going to build eventually. And I think you'll go in 3 pathways with that.
Yeah, so we keep our eye on everybody.
Yeah.
Identify who's going to build.
Right.
And make them do it.
Yeah. And actually, what happens too, sometimes you might look and say, well, we need one of these people to hit elite down in this leg. It could be Jennifer, it could be Sarah, or it could be Sam. It kind of doesn't matter to help this person up here hit their rank. So you go to those 3 people. Say, look, we are going to do this instead. We're calling it Push to Premier. We're going to do this, and we are going to hold your hand every step of the way. So we're looking for people who are interested in doing this. It's a way that you can find out if they are yet. Okay, so remember, no excuses. Moving forward, it's about you and your business. It doesn't matter what help you're getting or not getting, right? How many of you are ready to commit that it is nobody else's fault? It's nobody else's fault. It's kind of hard. So I can see in some of your eyes, like, am I really ready to do? Because yes, it's a hard thing to do. You can do it. And that is when you're going to be successful. There is not a diamond. Well, I'll even go to, there's not a platinum or a diamond or a blue or a presidential in doTERRA who has that attitude of making excuses. Every single one of those people does, well, several things probably, but a couple that I'll tell you. Number one, they have a positive attitude. They encourage other people. They let other people in doTERRA come to their classes. They are willing to work together and share with everybody. And the second thing they do is they do not make excuses. So they don't blame someone else. Okay, I'm gonna look at, I want you to see this. How many of you have heard of first world problems? Okay, so it's kind of a new thing that's coming out. It's pretty funny. And this is when we blow our problems out of proportion. Okay, sometimes we gotta look at we gotta figure out if we have the right perspective, all right? So enjoy this video.
Every year of every day, thousands of people fall victim to FWP.
I'm so cold.
Starving. Nobody cares about me. Also known as first world problems.
I'm so cold. Somebody set the AC to 72. I need it at 73.
Starving. Oh yes. Leftovers.
Nobody cares about me. They commented or liked my status.
Hi, I'm Ryan Higa, and for just 5 hours of attention a day, you could help somebody with FWP.
Everyone keeps putting so much pressure on me. I don't know what I want for my birthday.
I have too much chips for my dip. If I open any dip, I'll have too much dip for my chips.
I keep making new iPhones. Now I have to get another one? They've been through so much struggle.
Remote's over there. I'm all the way over here.
So much hardship.
My iPhone 5 is too big for my skinny jeans.
So much attention.
Poured my cereal with my chicken seafood at milk.
So please, show your support and send them this video. And show them how much we care about their FWPs.
What's many groceries? Now I have to make 2 trips.
All you have to do is call the number 1-800-DOT-WILL. And we'll send you the FWP helping kit, which includes a bridge, a straw, and a full cup with a cover. Here's a bridge. Now get over it. Here's a straw. Now suck it up. Here's a full cup. Now shut the full cup. If you're we don't have contact with us. Still make sure that everything is
Okay, I have to say that I did not get the club part. And I'm not kidding. I would have done that also. You're all about that kind of stuff. But I just have to say, okay, I got it this time. So I'm cutting that out. You can go find it on YouTube and don't blame it on me. Isn't that hilarious? Okay. No, but I'm not kidding. I didn't get that for this time. So, see, you can be low IQ and still do this business. Okay? Now, I just want to reiterate. If you can build an elite, you can be Presidential Diamond. It's not going to be tomorrow. And guess what? One of the things that Jeff Olson teaches in that book that I love so much, The Slight Edge, he talks about how this is, basically the people who are successful are the ones who are doing the little things every day. I haven't done one thing that was amazing. I really haven't. Elise Shedevy, she'll tell you the same thing. Natalie Goddard, they haven't done any one particular thing that was so amazing that, wow, now my team is huge. It was about a lot of little things. It's the same reason we can't lose weight or we can't get over an issue that we have. We won't do the little things every day that make it happen. So there are people in this room that I know that I've had intimate conversations with who have had harder problems. I just made eye contact and now I can't talk. Who have had harder problems than you guys. And they are successful in doTERRA. They're making it work. Because they're not making excuses. They're not blaming anybody else. So start taking these actions. When I first started with doTERRA, I had Justin Harrison above me, and I'm on his front line, so there's nobody above us. And we didn't even have the essential oils. You want to talk about a problem more than that? You try selling air. Okay? We did not even have the essential oils yet. Just the promise of the quality.
We didn't have any business tools. So guess what I feel like? What do you think I think when I'm working with someone in a new country who says, well, the only thing we have in our language is the Modern Essentials book. Well, guess what? We didn't have a Modern Essentials book. We had nothing. And we just, guess where all the tools came from that you guys use? They came from the leaders who created those as they realized, I am sick of this, we need a tool like this, and I'm making it. So just be that. You are that. That's why you're here. That's why you're here today. Just don't let life make you change that. Do you want to know the definition of true character? True character is someone who will act on the feeling of the moment when the feeling of the moment has passed. So you might be here today thinking, I'm going to do it. I can totally do this. But then a week from now when you're sick and your builder just said they don't want to do it anymore, you're like, oh, maybe right? Don't be that. Don't be that. Decide what you're going to be. And then I don't care what the emotion is. I don't care if things are down or up or down. You already decided what you're going to do. Yeah? The character thing? Okay, true character is someone who will act on the feeling of the moment when the feeling of the moment has passed.
Where your why comes into play, that's what connects you in this moment right now.
That's exactly right. She said that's where your why comes in, and that's true, okay? I want to call my son, Curtis, up here, Curtis Harding. I'm going to have him talk to you for a second because he actually, we had a family friend that that knew we were doing oils, who in fact it's Richard and Jen, who are now Diamonds. When I first started working with them, my son Curtis was gone. He was living out of the country. He was on a mission for our church in Peru. And so I was totally helping build this leader that was under him. And I didn't know if he wanted to do doTERRA when he got back or not. I had the enrollership. I was helping. I'll help whoever wants to be helped. But when he got home, he decided he did want to build it. So when he got home, his paycheck with this big leader underneath him was, and they weren't Diamond yet. They were still growing. When he first got back, his paycheck was, I think, about $300 a month. Okay? So he started working this past summer. He worked full-time, hard. That was his summer job, doing doTERRA. And he did that for 3.5 or 4 months until school started. So I'd like you to tell them a little bit about your experience with this training and following it, and the first time when you were going to build, and then what happened, then when you decided to do it for the summer. And I'd just like you to welcome Curtis.
Like she said, I'm Curtis Harding. I'm currently a junior at Brigham Young University here in Provo. And it's true what my mom said that, well, when I remember when my mom first started doing the oils, we thought she was really weird. Some of you may have heard this, we used to call her a doTERRorist.
They're the one, have you heard that? They're the ones who started it. They started it, and they told me that.
We thought it was weird. We were the ones sitting in the back of the classes that she would teach laughing because people were crying about the oils. And I guess you could say it's true, like after you get into it, the oils will make you cry. I cried over peppermint once, but that's because I got it in my eye. But what my mom is saying really is true, that this training is your bread and butter. I know a lot of it seems like little things. Like she said at the beginning, I thought, I don't want to do this. Like, I think oils are weird. I think there's better jobs out there that I can do. And so when I was on my mission and I found out how much she was making, at the beginning, I was like, oh, that's cute, Mom, little job. And I was like, wow, that's freaking sweet, Mom. So I got home and I was all excited about it. Okay. So me and my buddy Marshall, who's here with us today, we started doing it, but we started doing it in our own way. We did half of the training. We did 1 to 2 contacts instead of 3 to 5. We cut corners where we thought it would be easier, and really, it didn't work. We were working for like 2 to 3 months, and my paycheck went up maybe $100. So I went to school. I didn't want to work during school. I had enough money to pay my rent, so I was okay. But then at the end, I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. This summer, I'm going to do it for real, but obviously my way didn't work. I'm going to try my mom. She's so adamant about it being, oh, if you just do what I say, it'll work. So I'm like, okay, I'll try it 4 months. If not, then I'm done. Started doing it the first month. We didn't see a ton of success. We saw success, but I wasn't seeing my paycheck, and that's where I wanted to see it. And so But then the fast start checks started coming in, and my team started getting bigger. The checks started going up by hundreds of dollars every month. And I started to realize that it's the little things that we're doing that really do make the big difference. And it was the moment that I stopped making excuses. I remember one of my excuses was, oh, I'm too young. I don't have the contacts that older people have. They have this huge network of people, I don't have it. But then I saw one of my really good friends, Brady Thurgood. I don't know if you know him. He's on Elise Shedevy's team. He wanted to break her record. I remember when the day he signed up for doTERRA, I was there. He said, I'm going to break Elise Shedevy's record to diamond, which was 62 days. And I said, you're crazy. Like, her and her husband were working every day, all day to get that. He said, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And so my excuse went out the door. And then another girl who was 20 or 21, she just walked at this last convention, broke his record of hitting diamond in 60 days. And so it's doable. And I just want you guys to know that I'm a perfect experiment. I did both. I tried to do it my way, and I tried to do it this way that you guys are learning today. And one works, the other one doesn't.
Can you tell them what your paycheck was last month?
My paycheck last month, and this is without Fast Starts, was $2,400. And obviously I'm working for a lot of people, but, maybe it's not a lot. I'm sure you guys all make more money than I do, but for a college student who's getting started, it really does help. And I'm sure that $2,000 extra a month would help you guys a lot too.
Thank you, Chris. So he worked really hard for those 4 months, and like he said, his paycheck, he didn't see a lot of difference in his paycheck the first month, but a little more in the second, a little more. And the last 2 months, he hasn't been doing it because he was getting into school, and he backed off, but his paycheck has continued to increase. Now he's at that point, thanks largely to the Oldhams, but he has been building. And keep in mind that even with the Oldhams on his team, when he first got that, he was, $200 to $300. And one thing I'll tell you, this was, you can see he has confidence, but I'll tell you something that was kind of scary for him. Jen Oldham called him. She, they were already, I think maybe they were gold. They were gold, and Jen called him and said, look, I'm getting so busy, I need you to come to Idaho and teach one of my teams. Oh yeah, she was pregnant and she needed some help. She couldn't travel anymore. So she said, Curtis, you are my upline, can you, even though Curtis really didn't know what he was doing at that point yet, she said, can you come and teach some classes of my existing leaders who are already silver? So you think that's not a little bit scary? Get rid of your excuses. So we practiced before he went. We did a couple classes. What time is it? 4:30. Okay. We're going to be able to talk a little bit about the classes at the end of like 5:30ish or whatever. So for those of you who are in here, we'll talk about that. But what we do at the classes and how I train someone to teach a class, because it can be scary for people, right? Do you think that you know people who it might take them 6 months before they feel comfortable actually teaching a class? I'll tell you what, we get them helping teach, team teaching on the second time, and usually by the fourth time they're teaching the entire class by themselves. And I am talking about people, I've had people who say, no, I can't get in front of the room, I can't get in front of the room, I can't. I've had it pretty extreme. And probably the worst case scenario is somebody that was in Arizona, and she's become a dear friend of mine. She was like that, I can't. I said, okay, you know what? We won't have you help team teach, which really, if she gets up at all, we're kind of team teaching, right? But I'm not gonna tell her that. I said, well, we won't have you team teach. What we'll do is, when I get to a certain point in the presentation, I'll just have you stand up, and because I want her to know she has to stand up. I said, I'll just have you stand up and just tell some of your favorite oils, and some of your best stories. And then you can let other people tell their stories too. And I said, but take as long as you want. She said, no, it'll just be, I'll just be like 30 seconds. I said, that's okay, you take however long you want. Guess what? She got up and started talking. 20 minutes later, because people get excited and they start sharing oils, and she's saying, oh, I know, I used lavender on that. You know what I mean? And when we were done, guess what she was saying? She was smiling, saying, oh my goodness, I am a good teacher. And so it's fun to help people grow and learn how to do this. Now, by the way, you can tell Curtis has no idea of what people make. He says, most of you are making more than that. I'll tell you what, that is a lot of money. And I know he knows that, he's grateful for it. But, when I was first starting, there's no way I couldn't, you talk about giving samples away. That's one of the things I'll do for my leaders. If you are silver or gold and above, help your leaders with their samples. Doesn't mean you have to supply them all, but help them. That's a way that you can help them out. I think I got it. Okay. So, let's see. These are some builder questions that we run into all the time. I don't seem to have any leaders on my team, and I'm doing all the work. Do you guys have that? Yeah, because guess what? If you're sharing the oils, you are going to have people enrolling, right? You have people signing up. So you're going to have a lot of work to do to take care of all those people. How do I motivate my builders to take action? Do you ever have builders who say they want to build, and then they get all excited, and then you find that they aren't doing anything? They don't, or you start making a plan, and they don't follow through anything that you guys plan? I'll tell you, usually the #1 reason for builders who aren't motivated is because you didn't figure out what they really wanted. They might be excited, they're seeing what you're doing, and they're like, oh, I want to build, but maybe they want to be a part-time builder. But they acted so excited, you thought they wanted to be the kind of builder you're being. Maybe you're that person. Make sure that the person you're working with, who's your upline, knows exactly where you stand. And I'm going to show you a really easy way to find out exactly where someone stands without being pushy, without causing any kind of relationship issues. Okay, how do I determine if someone will be a builder or not? We are going to do something I call 3 pathways. And I'm telling you, if you have any of these problems, you might not realize, I'm going to try to help you understand how this relates. But if you will do the 3 pathways with people, it will resolve these problems for you. I can't even tell you, we had leadership retreat last year and they asked me to train on some of this stuff. And I talked about how to place people on your team and some of the things that you do with your builders. And I taught, if you do this, you will not have these problems. I can't tell you how many people afterwards came and said, I wish I had known that. Because after you've had the problem, you realize why the 3 pathways will solve the problem for you. But when you haven't done it yet, you don't appreciate it. And so I had some of my newer builders that I was personally working with who were standing around me after the leadership retreat when people were coming up to me making this huge fuss. I had my blue diamonds coming up and saying, that is awesome. I need you to come and train my team on that. Can we get a time where we can train? I had this happening, and my leaders that I was personally working with who learned this right from the very beginning, after people left, they're like, what's the big deal? You just do the 3 pathways. I said, yes! But for those of you who, when you don't learn it, you don't know that at the beginning, it makes all the difference, okay? So, we'd all like people to be knocking our door down, right? Making sure that for building or for essential oils, right? We wish that we had Lisa's problem, don't we? And I promise you, if you will follow that pattern we laid out for you, where you do your 2 to 3 contacts a day, and you heard Curtis say 3 to 5, because guess what? For my serious builders, their commitment is 3 to 5. And I'll show you how I get that commitment from them without being pushy. You don't believe it's possible, right? I will show you how it is. But first I want to show you this video, okay? This is what it becomes like if you do not stop, if you're just consistent. And again, you don't have to do anything major. Just follow that pattern day after day, okay? Let me get this ready for you. This is real. Okay, as my dad would always say, and there are 13 kids in our family, he would always say this, there's always room for one more. And it's really true. People are swarming to doTERRA. If you do your 2 to 3 contacts a day, if you're a serious builder, do 3. If you consider yourself more of a medium builder, do at least 2 a day. And some leaders, some of your upline leaders train, if you're a serious builder, to do 2. Go up, follow your leaders' training. I'm not here training to try to change any training that your leaders are working with you on. They're doing a great job, okay? But I also will show you exactly what I do with my leaders too. Whoops. Okay. Okay, let's start with this one. I don't seem to have any leaders on my team, and I'm doing all the work. What do I do? Okay, number 1, remember I said the main reason for that is you haven't figured out what they want. I'm telling you, if that's what's happening, that is the reason, okay? So, you need to talk to them, but what if you don't know what to say? That's the hardest part, right? Now, I'm going to show you, and this is what I call the 3 pathways, and this goes for all of the other problems we just talked about, okay? Now, before I get into this, actually, this is what I want to talk to you about. I cannot tell you how many times I've had people who will say to me, for example, we might be on the doTERRA cruise, which, by the way, who said that I'm on vacation 10 days a month? Was that Judd? Oh, yeah. No, that is so not true. Just because I'm doing post-convention in Hawaii does not mean I am on vacation. So, you don't need to feel sorry for me, but yeah, I'm traveling a lot, and it's so fun. Our kids are grown, as you can see. And I was doing doTERRA part-time. I'm just trying to keep it very, very at bay while my kids were home.
I try and schedule a vacation around her vacation.
Yeah, around my Korea trip. Yeah, you just wait until we're opening Korea. You wait and see what happens. So I was on the doTERRA trip last year, and or maybe it was a couple of years ago, and I've had leaders come to me at those events, at convention, at leadership retreat. Well, or maybe they'll catch a little bit of time with me and they'll say, I am having one of these problems. They'll list one of those problems. And I hear this one, I'll hear this one a lot. I've got to the point where I've got a lot of people on my team. I'm the one who signed most of them up, but I don't have any builders. Well, guess what? You tell me that and I know immediately what the problem is. And if you do the 3 pathways, it will solve it. But let me tell you what happens a lot of times. And I don't claim to know everything. In fact, I'll tell you this right now, and I always say this. This, what I'm showing you today, is what I call the current draft. It's the current draft because, guess what? As we figure out how to make it better, you guys, leaders in this room, we have amazing people in this room who are going to help us figure out how to make it better. Some of my leaders who have spoken to you today have helped me figure out ways to make this better. And I'm the higher rank. I'm learning, you learn from each other, okay? But this is what I hear a lot. And it's gotten to the point now where it happens and I almost want to laugh. Because if you don't want to know, don't ask me. If you want to know, I'm happy to help you, and it makes me excited because guess what? If I can help you, bypass the problems I dealt with, great. But I can't even count, and I'm not exaggerating, I cannot count the number of times that people will say, I'm having this problem, can you just spend a little time and help me know what to do? And some of them, we have to kind of talk and I have to figure it out a little bit, but some of them, I know right like that. I know exactly what's going on. We'll sit down and I'll say, okay, I have something that will totally help you, let me show you what that is. And I'll show them exactly what to do. This isn't something, oh, well, just, try to help them, I give them very specific instructions, and I hear this a lot. I hear, oh, I've already done that. Oh, I've already done that. Yeah, oh, I am doing that. Which is totally fine, it doesn't offend me, but I think, I'll tell you what, if I was, when I was at the beginning, if I had a presidential diamond who had learned the hard way and was going to tell me some things that might help, I might not end up choosing to do it that way. You do it however you want, right? Because you get to be creative, do your own business. But be teachable, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, okay? Because sometimes I'll have people who come and ask questions and they'll, I'll teach them the same thing. And you know what I'll get from people who are teachable? They'll say, so what do you mean by that? Because I thought I had tried that, but it didn't seem to work, so maybe I'm doing it wrong. Okay? Do you think I don't go to my leaders who might be a lower rank than me? I go to my leaders and say, okay, so, what do you think about this? What do you think we should do about this? Or, I'm starting to notice this. How can we help the leaders this way? That's part of this whole theme, is working together and learning together, right? So we need to be willing to learn from anybody. Just like, what was your name? The one who came up and showed us that brain thing. Worthy? How do you spell it? Oh, it is Worthy. Okay, that's cute. So, did we all learn something from her today? Well, she wasn't scheduled as a teacher. Yeah, thank you, Worthy. Okay, so we're going to go into the 3 pathways. Now, this is what you're going to find out from your leaders. What's your level? How committed are you? Find out what they want, and then you follow through with them, okay? Now, a lot of times, sometimes I'll teach on the 3 pathways, and I'll do an hour-long class just teaching exactly how to say certain things and exactly what to do. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to briefly show you how it's done. Then I'm going to call someone up who I want, basically I want the newest person who's a little bit interested in the business. So I won't get them right now. Okay, so we've got somebody pointing. Okay, so Ryan, remind me, we'll use your friend. So what I'm going to do is show you how I do it. When I sit down with someone, exactly how I do it. Okay, because we don't have time for the whole hour presentation. There's a lot of psychology behind this, but I will just give you a heads up by having you watch for about 3 different things that I do on purpose when I do this. Number 1, I don't use the word you. I don't say, if you want to be this kind of builder, because what does that make them feel? Pressured. I don't say that. I say someone who wants to build like this. So notice, I'm very careful about that. There is one place in the 3 pathways where I do use the word you about 2 or 3 times in a row, and I do that on purpose. And I want you to notice how it would make you feel if it was you, okay? And let's see. Oh, when I'm talking about, we're going to talk about 3 different pathways that someone can choose from. When I'm talking about pathway 1 with someone, I'm going to use the word share. Now notice I don't make a big deal about using the word share, but I use the word share just as I'm talking. But notice when I get to number 2 and number 3, I use the word build. Now, those are just a few things for you to look for. And I want you to notice my tone of voice. There are times when it goes up in excitement and times when it goes down. And I'll just give you an example of something to look for. For example, when I'm talking about how much money they can make. I don't want to be sounding like, you can make 10, 20, 30. I don't do it that way. I want to be the exact opposite. I'm going to say, someone who wants to make anywhere between $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. See? So there is so much psychology behind this. So learn as much as you can from this. That's why when I'm teaching someone how to do it, it takes an hour just to teach all the details so they know exactly how to do it. And I had a question back there.
Would you click back 1 slide just for 1 second?
Oh yeah, sure.
Really fast.
Okay.
Thank you.
I saw one more hand.
Is that your hour-long presentation? Is it on one of the building sites? So we watch that later?
No, it isn't actually, and I'll tell you about that. I keep getting so many requests for video or whatever, and I actually have a friend here who's a professional videographer who, it got to the point, I told you at Leadership Retreat, I had leaders who were saying, can you come do this with my team? And we were looking at our calendars, and it was going to be 6 months before we could even get together to schedule training, whatever. And I thought, this is ridiculous. That is not helping my team. So I asked who's become my dear friend Ryan, to do the videos for me, but this is his life work. And so it can't just be for free. And so he has actually created videos, 3 hour-long videos. One is exactly how to place people in detail. Here, it's interactive. In those videos, it isn't. The second one is on exactly what to do with a new builder, how to help them teach new classes and stuff like that. And then the third one is exactly how to do the 3 pathways, the whole hour long. It is, how much, Ryan? They have to charge for it because they need, they spend a lot of time. They need to.
We're still fine-tuning it.
Was it?
When are the videos going to be done?
Yeah. Yeah, they're like this close.
They're done.
Yeah, they're done. So what we're going to do is we'll have a sign-up sheet because I have so many people asking. I'll have a sign-up sheet at the back at the end if you're interested in those. I think they'll be between $99 or $129 for the whole set, and you can just use them for your team and do whatever. So, and we've got it set up so when you get them, you can use And this, I just want to clarify, this is not why I'm doing this today. I'm doing this today because my leaders asked me to do this class. But I want to make that available for people that might help. It would have helped me in the beginning and I would have liked to have known. And so we'll have the sign-up sheet at the back. And then anybody who's interested, we'll let you know how to get those. When you buy them, I want you to be able to use them for your entire team. You can't make copies because of experts who are working on it. But you can use it, share it with your, show it at your leadership trainings, do whatever you want, and as soon as they are ready and can afford it or whatever, they can buy their own copy, okay? There's another place you can see some of it, but I'll talk about that at the very end, all right? But it's not the same. These are 3 concise videos that are very professionally done. So, back to this, 3 pathways. Let's see. Okay, when I'm going to talk to somebody, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to say, in my experience, I'm only going to do this with somebody who has shown some sort of an interest. It might be the person who wants to share it with their grandma because our grandma has arthritis and we start talking about doing a class and they start acting a little bit excited about it. Then I'm going to say, you know what we need to do is let's get together and I want to sit down with you for a minute and kind of show you a few things, ask you a few questions, and we can kind of see where we want to go from here. So see how that doesn't feel pushy at all, and it's only if they've acted interested and gotten excited. So then when I go to their house, after the small talk, I'm going to say, okay, in my experience, what I have found is that when people are interested in sharing the oils or building the business, they end up choosing between one of 3 pathways. There are 3 pathways that they end up choosing to go down one of those. And let me show you what those are so that you can get a feel for what that is. And then you can tell me where you fit in those categories, and it helps me to know what you're thinking. See how I make it all about them, okay? Oh, I say pathway 1 is someone who just wants to be able to pay for their oils. Someone who wants to share, notice the word share, someone who wants to share the oils like this is usually someone who just wants to casually share. And what's going to happen is over a period of several months, they're going to get to a point where they're paying for their oils. They're getting their oils for free, okay? Pathway number 2, now say it takes an hour to teach, it takes 5 to 7 minutes to actually do when you sit with them. But if you do it wrong, you will make them feel pressured and it will ruin it. That's why it's so important, okay? Pathway number 2 is someone who wants to supplement their income. Now, someone who wants to build like this is usually someone who wants to make anywhere between $1,000 to $4,000 a month. And they would need to plan on committing to at least 3 to 4 hours a week. And what's going to happen is over time, they're going to get to a point where they are making that kind of income, okay? So pathway number 3 is someone who wants to replace their income. Now, someone who wants to build like this is usually looking at making anywhere between $5, $10, $20, $50, $100,000 a month. Notice how I did the tone of voice, and I did that on purpose because I do not want them feeling weird or pushed or uncomfortable. So I say, someone who wants to build like this would need to plan on committing to 20 plus hours a week. Now, and then I say this, so now let me show you what the criteria for that would be so that you have an idea of what that entails. Now, sometimes I'll have somebody already super excited. Oh, I want to be a number 3, I want to be a number 3. You want to know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to hear the answer yet because do they really know if they want to be a number 3? No, they don't really know what that entails yet. So I need to get the real answer. And so I don't want them to feel stupid. I want to say, don't tell me yet. I'm going to say, oh, good. Well, I'm excited. This is going to be fun. Let me show you what that criteria is so that we can see if we're on the same page. See what I mean? Because if they act excited and I start treating them like a number 3 builder in our day-to-day calls and stuff, do you think they might start avoiding my phone calls if that wasn't really what they wanted? Yeah, you bet they will. You'll lose builders that way, okay? So now keep in mind, I do not print this out on a piece of paper and put it in front of them. I write this down line by line as I'm talking to them, okay? Now, one thing that's really important is that as I write something, like you can't see it on here because it's already up there, but when I'm talking to them and I say, pathway number 3 is someone who wants to replace their income. Then when I'm done telling you that, I'm going to be silent. I'm going to look at the paper and write it down. I'm going to write exactly that. You see how simple that looks? If I write out the $1,000, like with all the zeros, and I write out the word month, and it looks complicated by the time you're done. We want it to feel simple, because it will be simple. You're just gonna help them go step by step, okay? So, I write each line at a time, and don't be afraid of the silence. Because some people will say, oh, this is someone who wants to replace their income, and then they keep talking while they're writing it down. They say, they might hate their job, or blah, blah, blah. They keep talking while they're writing something. You just ruined it. Because something very important happens when you're silent. While you're writing that, they're thinking things through their head that they need to be thinking so that they can make a decision. You're taking the decision away from them if you don't be quiet, okay? So these are, I say, the first thing is that someone who wants to build like this would need to commit to doing 150 points a month. Now, does doTERRA require 150 points a month? No. doTERRA requires 100 points a month. So guess what? My number 2 builders do that. Some people will ask me, well, so I'll start on the criteria for number 3, and they'll say, well, what's the criteria for number 2? I don't want to complicate things, but I want to answer their questions. So this is what I say. I say, well, let me show, they're very similar to number 3. So let me show you what the criteria is for number 3, and then I'll show you the difference between 3 and 2, because it's pretty much the same things, just less of it. Okay? So this is what it looks like when you're done. If I've written on a lined piece of paper, then notice how there are spaces in between. Look how simple that looks. Okay? But let me go back to this. Oh, you're taking pictures? Let me go back to this for just a second. Okay? I say, now, remember how I said there are places where I say the word you, and I do it on purpose? This is it. So listen closely. I say, now you notice everything I say I don't explain. I'm not explaining anything right now. This better be done, from the time you get to their house and the time you leave their house, it better be a half hour or less. If it's longer than that, I don't care how excited you are and how much they want to write their goals down and do all the other things that we teach you to do. If you do it at that meeting, you will leave and they will be going, oh wow, maybe this is too much. Maybe I don't want to do doTERRA after all. You leave within a half hour, okay? And if they say, well, I want to do my goals, I want to do this, I'll give them a couple of assignments. I'll say, okay, I want you to do this, I want you to check this out, but we'll set up a time to meet again. I won't stay, okay? And that makes more work for me, right? But that doesn't matter. It's more important that they get to figure out what they need, okay? So I say, now this is, none of them will I explain right now because of the time, but I will explain this one. The 150 points a month I explain because I never want someone to feel tricked and feel like, wait a minute, they find out later that doTERRA only does 100 points, because that's not what it's about. I don't want them to feel bad about that. So I say, now someone who wants to build like this would need to commit to 150 points a month. Now doTERRA is exactly what I say. I say, no, now doTERRA only requires that you do 100 points a month in order to get a paycheck. But with my builders, I require, now remember, because so this is not about them, right? This whole time, it's about someone else, it's about a builder somewhere. I say, but with my builders, I require that they do 150 points a month because I understand the compensation plan forwards and backwards, and there are serious bonuses you could miss out on if you are not on 150. And I'll tell them this because it's true. I say I have had leaders who have missed out on a $1,500 bonus because they're $25 short somewhere. And I will not let that happen to you. Okay, you see how I was saying the word you just on that line? Because I want them to know if they choose to do this, I will take care of you. I'm not going to let that happen to you. Yeah.
Now, I've got a small sales background. I know a lot of these techniques are amazing. Is this all from experience, or is it books you sourced them from, or how did you learn?
Making all the stupid mistakes first. No, and actually the 3 pathways, this came to me first from one of my leaders, from Alicia Debbie, and then psychology is my background. So I added all the psychology stuff behind it. When she showed it to me, I said, oh my goodness, that's brilliant. You know, we'll do this, and so that's where it came from. Like I said, it's the current draft, and people bring in amazing things. So, but yeah, I think one of the things that is probably one of my best skills is being able to see all the different amazing things that people are doing and being able to bring it together and going, okay, these things are imperative. All the other stuff, that works, those are great, and you can do those. But these are the foundation that's required. If you are not doing that, it will mess up your team, or you won't be successful. But there are other things you could do or not do. You don't have to go talk to spas. You could, and that will help your team, but you're not gonna be unsuccessful if you don't go talk to spots. See what I mean? So mine is just the foundation. And that's why I say it works with any of the other leaders and what they're training, okay? So, I say, and it needs to be on the 10th of the month. And I'm not gonna go into detail right now why, but every single thing I say, there are probably at least 10 really, okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. There are probably at least 5 really good reasons that I could give you about why. And I'll give you one. And just know that everything I teach, there are reasons why that I could show you, but I'm not gonna go into detail with this class. But a lot of those are on the videos though too, so you could use those. Let's see. Oh, on the 10th of the month. Why does it have to be on the 10th? Why do I have to tell someone exactly when to do their LRP? Because you can do it any day of the month, right? Well, guess what? At the beginning, we would let people do it any day of the month. Because of course, that they have free agency, right? And we're not the boss of them. And so we do it on whatever day worked. But remember how I told you about somebody who missed their $1,500 bonus? Because one of the builders was in Hawaii on vacation, and their auto ship was set for the 25th of the month, and something happened with the credit card. And we couldn't get a hold of them because they were gone. And so everything was processed and run. And not only did that leader miss out on his own bonus, but every upline leader missed out on theirs because something happened with the credit card. And so if you don't do it early enough, you don't have enough time to fix the problem. Because if your auto ship is set for the book, people say, well, what about the 10th or the 1st or whatever? Well, guess what? Then we said, you know what? Do it between the 1st and the 10th. Then we're safe. So some people would do it the 1st because they're trying to be right on the ball, and we're going to do it right on the 1st and make sure we're ready. And guess what happened? Sometimes they had somebody, they called their order in, and there was somebody new at customer service who didn't know that there was a 10% off of this oil, and they've already done their order, and now they realize, oh my goodness, I wish I had realized that was the 10% off oil. Somebody who's new doesn't always know that. If they had known, they would have taken advantage of it. We had those kinds of things happening all the time, even up through the 5th or 6th of the month. Well, guess what? Now that we do it on the 10th, we never have any problem. The person who does that always gets their free oil. They always, they don't miss out on anything, and it works out perfectly. And now if something goes wrong with a credit card, how many days do we have to fix it? All the way to the 28th. Because for bonuses and checks, the LRP has to be by the 28th. Okay? So that's, you see how there are reasons behind all of this stuff. So, okay. As soon as I finish with the 3 pathways, we'll take our 10-minute break and do the dinner break, and people who want to stay can stay, and we'll continue, okay? So now I'm continuing on. I finished the 150 part. I say, they have got to have a book. Someone who wants to build like this has got to have a book. And notice, when I get all passionate and strong, it's because those are easy. If I say they have got to do a 150-point auto ship, does that sound very good? No. People are like, oh my. But if I say it about the book or the easy ones, then it feels better to them. But I need them to feel like I'm passionate. Like, this isn't, you're committing to something. I'm not saying you, remember, I'm saying someone who wants to build like this has got to do this. I need them to feel that way because they are committing to something serious. And it's going to take a lot of my time, which I'm totally willing to do, but this is how you find out what they really want. Okay? So notice I say this. I say they have got to have a book. Someone who wants to build like this would need to commit to making, I actually say 3 to 5 new contacts a day. But so I know some of your upline leaders do too, and that's great. And it works great, so that's fine. But it doesn't hurt to do more if you want to and if you can, okay? 3 to 5 new contacts a day. They would need to commit to finding 3 business builders. They've got to have their goals written out. And then, of course, there are events and trainings that they would need to be involved in. So that's exactly how I would do it. And then at the end, this is the part where you shut up. I used to say, just be quiet here. Don't say another word, and then people would forget. But when I say shut up at that part, then people remember, ooh, I'm supposed to shut up right here. So don't forget. This is the part where, I hand them the paper and I say, so those are the 3 pathways, and I just need to find out from you where you feel like you fit in these categories. You want to know the beauty of the whole thing? And this wasn't on purpose, but you're finding out what they want. The beauty of this whole thing is they're not deciding if they're going to buy a kit. They're deciding how much they're going to build. I am telling you, you will find more builders doing this. Those people who tell me, I recruit a lot of people and I don't have a lot of builders, or those kinds of things. Lisa's question is a little bit different because she finds builders and she needs to know where to place them and how to get them taken care of. But this will totally help you understand if they're number 1 or number 2 or number 3. When we go into placements during the break hour, I'll totally refer to with number 1s, this is what you do. With number 2s, you put them here. With number 3s, I'll tell you exactly how to do it. But you have to do the 3 pathways first. And I'll have people who are a little bit newer. I have a team out in the Midwest who, I have a girl who I've been working with a little bit, and she'll call me with questions that her questions tell me that she's not doing the 3 pathways. She says, well, she said this and whatever. I said, have you done the 3 pathways with them? Well, sort of, but no, I guess I didn't. They do the 3 pathways, and all of a sudden now you know exactly what they want. Okay, so we have that volunteer right here. This will be the last thing we'll do. I'll probably take, would you mind coming up here? I hear that you're kind of new. So I'm going to show them how I do it with somebody. Okay? I wish we had a table up here, it'd be easier. Oh, sorry, the Modern Essentials book. The Essential Oils book. And the cool thing is, when you say that, a lot of times people say, you say they have got to have a book. And people will say, oh, I already have that. I love it when they say that, because what are they thinking to even say that? They're thinking, can I do this? Can I fit in here? That's what they're thinking. Okay, come on over. Okay, so how new are you?
Weeks.
Weeks. Okay, she's just a few weeks old. So, you know what I mean. Okay, so how were you introduced?
Ryan is a good friend of my husband's, and he kind of brought up the business opportunity. I thought about it, and here I am.
Okay, cool. So this is great. She's shown a little more interest in the business than maybe someone who has the least interest that I might do that with, right? Okay, so we'll have to pretend like we're sitting at a table, okay? And I'm just going to try to do this without any commentary. It's hard for me because I think of questions I hear all the time and then I want to answer it. I'll just do it so you can see how fast it is. It does not take very long, okay? So I've got the paper here and I'm going to pretend like I'm writing because you need to see the silence parts, all right? So, I need to know your name. Cassandra. Okay, she's Cassandra. Welcome, Cassandra. Can you give her a round of applause for coming up here? She had no idea what she was in for. Okay, so Cassandra, in my experience, what I've found is that when people are interested in sharing oils or building a business, what happens is there are 3 different pathways that they end up choosing to go down. And so I'll show you what those are. Now keep in mind, we've already had our conversation and talked a little bit. There are 3 pathways that people end up choosing to go down. And so I'll show you what those are, and then you can tell me how you fit in those categories. That helps me know exactly what you're thinking, okay? And so now, see, I want to do commentary. Okay, so the first pathway is someone who just wants to be able to get to the point where they're paying for their oils, where they're getting their oils for free. Okay, and I want to do the commentary, I'm horrible. So for the silence part, I'll just take a second. Just realize you need to write and be silent, okay? So then I'll say, someone who wants to share their oils like that, and by the way, as I'm doing this with you, if you think of a question, try to pretend like they're not here. If you think of a question that you would normally ask me, interrupt me and ask me, okay? Someone who wants to share their oils like this is usually someone who just wants to casually share their oils with their friends, with their family, that kind of thing, okay?
So that doesn't mean that I have to go out and do parties, it's just casual.
Right. Like if you have a sister or somebody who their kids are sick, you might want to share it with them. If it gets to a point where you've had enough people interested, you might want to have a class, whatever you want. Okay, so someone who wants to share the oil like this, usually what's going to happen is over a period of several months, they're going to get to a point where they are paying for their oils, getting them for free. So now I'm writing the words. So pathway number 2 is somebody who wants to supplement their income. They may love their job, they don't necessarily want to quit, but they'd like to make more money. And I'll write it down. I say, now someone who wants to build like this is usually someone who wants to make anywhere between $1,000 to $4,000 a month. And I write it down. It's so hard for me not to do commentary. So now, and someone who wants to build like this would need to plan on committing to about at least 3 to 4 hours a week on, working on it, okay? Write that down. And what's gonna happen is, over time, they're gonna get to a point where they are making that kind of income. And so then I write down over time. Yeah, okay. So pathway number 3 is someone who wants to replace their income. So write down replace income. Someone who wants to build like this is usually someone who wants to make anywhere between $5, $10, $20, $50, $100,000 a month. Okay, now I'm writing those down. By the way, I will do one commentary here, because see where it says $5,000 to $10,000 a month? That is the one place I will write something different depending on who I'm talking to. So let's say Cassandra is someone who makes a couple $100,000 a year. I'm not going to write 10,000. I'll always write 5K, but on the 10K part, write whatever would be more than probably they're making. So if you're not sure, don't estimate low. I usually don't ever put more than 50,000 on that spot, but if it's somebody that $2,000 a month would be a ton of money, writing 50,000 seems unreachable, like you're hyping the money. So then write 10,000. I never write less than 10. But for Cassandra, I might write 50 or 20 or whatever a month. I'll write down, I'll say the same thing, but I'll write down a number that would be exciting for her. Okay. So then I say, and someone who wants to build like this would need to plan on committing to 20 plus hours a week. Okay, and write that down. Now let me show you what the criteria would be for a pathway number 3 builder, so that you have an idea of what that entails and what they're committing to. Okay, and so then I'll go to this next part, say, I keep thinking people are raising their hand, but it's videos. So, let's see. So, someone who wants to build like this would need to plan on committing to, now, I will make this commentary too. Notice, I'm not going to look in her eyes the whole time, because if I say, someone who wants to build like this needs to plan on committing to 100, okay, that's going to make her feel pressure. I'm going to tell her, look in her eyes, but kind of like, I'm thinking about it, I'm just kind of thinking through this and telling her my experience, okay? So I'm going to say someone who wants to build like this would need to plan on committing to 150 points a month. What that means, it's about $150 a month. And they would need to have it set on the 10th of the month. Now, doTERRA only requires that you do 100 points a month in order to get a paycheck. But I require my builders to do 150 points a month, because I understand the compensation plan forwards and backwards. And there are serious bonuses that you could miss out on, and I will not let that happen to you. So the next thing is someone who wants to build like this, they have got to have a book, a Modern Essentials book. They would need to plan on committing to making 3 to 5 contacts a day. They would need to commit to finding 3 business builders. They've got to have written goals. And then, of course, there are events and trainings that they would need to be involved in. So now I'm done, and now I put it in front of her. I've been writing, right? And I turn the paper and put it in front of her. So those are the 3 pathways. So now I just need you to look at that sheet and tell me where you fall in those categories, so I know exactly what you're thinking, how I can help you. Okay, so now remember, what do you do right here? After you give it to her, shut up, that's right. Because I'll tell you what, if I say any more at this point, now I'm making her feel pressured. And you'll be sitting here thinking, oh, I forgot this, or I forgot to say that, or whatever. Don't say anything, it's too late. You can talk about it later. Now, if she asked me a question about, she says, well, what's loyalty rewards, or how does that work? Is right now a time for me to do a half-hour class on loyalty rewards? No. I'll just explain briefly what it is, and then that's it. Okay, so let's give Cassandra a round of applause. Thank you for coming. Okay, so question?
Are you writing down those subtopics?
Yes, it looks exactly like this when I'm done. Exactly. Not one extra syllable, except when I was training in Australia, I realized that MO is not the abbreviation for month there. And they were like, what's MO? And I thought, okay, you gotta use an abbreviation that they understand.
Okay, halfway to.
Yeah.
1,000 to 4,000 a month, 3 to 4 hours a week.
Yes.
For real, Teresa?
Yes, that's for real, but that's also why I write overtime. Because a lot of people who do number 2, don't you have a lot of builders who do like 8 hours a week, or, it depends on how much time they spend. They've got to spend at least 3 to 4 hours to be able to do some contacts, to be able to have a class, right? once a month or something, they've got to spend at least that much time. But what happens is, the reason I put 3 to 4 instead of 8, which is more average, the reason is because then we have people who look at that. How many of you look at pathway number 2 and go, I could do that? Okay, and you can, it'll take longer, and that's okay. But as I sit down with them and start doing training as we go forward, guess what happens? They do more than 2 to 3 hours a week, but if they really only have 2 to 3, that's okay, they can do that too. So yeah, that's a good point. Yes?
You have the requirements for pathway number 3 up there, so my question at the end after you were supposed to do type,
Yeah.
what's the requirements for 2 then?
So if they ask that, this is exactly how I answer that. I'll say, oh, there's some people that need to leave, so we're gonna do the raffle as soon as I answer this question, okay? So, for pathway number 2, if they ask me that question, I say, for pathway number 2, I'll show you what the requirements are for pathway number 2. They would need to commit to now I'm back to they, right? They would need to plan on committing 100 points a month for their LRP, because you've got to do that to get a paycheck. They've got to have the book. They would do 2 contacts a day instead of 3 to 5. They still need to find 3 builders. They've got to have their goals written, and then events and trainings, just probably not as much. So you see how that really is a number 2 builder, and guess what people say? When they hear that, they go, well, it's kind of almost the same. I might as well be a number 3. I can't tell you how many times that happens, okay?
Is it important to have them make the decision while you're there, or can they think about it?
It's totally them. So usually, often they'll decide. Once in a while, someone will say, well, because guess what? When I put it in front of them, I'm saying, so now what I need you to do, I'm telling them what to do. I say, what I need you to do is look at this, look at the 3 pathways, and you tell me where you fit in those categories. So that requires an answer, but it doesn't make them feel pressed either, right? So if I say, we need to do the raffle, sorry, I'm getting distracted. So if I say that, did that answer the rest of your question? I distracted myself.
Just if they can leave.
Oh yeah, then if they want to leave, I'll say, yeah, you think about it, but I want to pick a time where I'm going to call them. I'll say, yeah, let's, when do you want me to call you? I can call you tomorrow. They might say, no, not tomorrow, but Thursday's good, or whatever. That's fine. I'll work it out with them, but I'm also not going to leave it open-ended. I've got to do my job and make sure I'm kind of getting it ended. Okay, so we have a ton of raffle stuff to give away. Probably over $1,000 worth. So, hopefully you guys have raffle tickets. Hey, can Curtis and Tyler come on up here? My 2 boys. I'll have you guys be the runners.
Your tickets are on the floor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you win a prize, come and get it.
Thank
Okay?
you. Thank
So
you
here we
so
go.
much.
This is for which one is this? The Summer Sizzle Kit. It's got 4 little oils in it, all right? That is number, 696-968. 696-968. And if you win, just run on up. Good. All right. Woo! Okay, but you gotta say what we're gonna give.
Toothpaste.
Okay, toothpaste is 697-022. 697-022. Anybody? Okay, we'll leave these to the side, and if we haven't found them by the end, let's do the On Guard foaming hand soap and 2 dispensers. Okay, the number is 696-897. 897. Woo! All right, what's next, Rob?
Shampoo and conditioner.
Okay, shampoo and conditioner, the set. The number is 697-134. 697-134. Okay, shall we do? Okay, we're gonna do the Lifelong Vitality Pack. See who wins this one. Okay, the number is. Oh, okay. 697-171. Do we have a winner? Woo! You're welcome. Okay, that one goes together. What are we giving away now?
Immortel.
Immortel. For those of you who aren't familiar with Immortel, it's a very expensive oil. 697-077. 077. Awesome. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, we're going to give away Terrazyme. This is awesome for enzymes in your digestive system. Okay, I need a number. Thank you. 697-196. 196.
Woo! Good job. Okay, that's that one.
Next one, what are we giving away? Zendocrine for your endocrine system. 697-206. 697-206. Okay, I'm going to put that together right there. Okay, this is for the hydrating cream. 697-055. Woo, we have a winner.
Here she goes.
Okay. The next one is the hand and body lotion that you can put whatever oils in it that you want to use for yourself. 688-969. 688-969. Congratulations. Okay, I don't hear a winner yet. Okay, now we're going to give away Intune. It's the new essential oil that is good for helping you focus. Also, people with ADD, ADHD, all kinds of things. It's awesome. 697-070. 697. Oh, we got a winner. Okay. What's next? And what are we giving away? Okay, Slim and Sassy, the oil. 697-042. 042. Do we have a winner? 697-042. At the end, I'll go through the ones that didn't get picked up real quick one more time, and then if they still don't get picked up, I'll pick new numbers for them. This is Wintergreen Essential Oil. 697-160. That's what I like to hear! Awesome! Okay, now what do we have? We have Past Tense, which is a roll-on blend for headaches and migraines. 697-195. Okay, yours is right there, right? Yeah. Okay, what do we have next?
TerraShield.
We're giving away TerraShield. This is the bug repellent that they love down in the south. 696-987. 987. Anybody? Oh, good. We've got a winner. Okay, this is for Vetiver. This, I will tell you this, Intune I'm excited about, but it's not totally proven with me yet. But Vetiver, I've been, I've taught thousands of people, and Vetiver is unbelievable for ADD, ADHD, anxiety. It is awesome. 696-974. Woo, we got a winner. Okay. Let's see, this is for Purify. You put a few drops of this in your laundry with your rags from your kitchen, your dish rags. You know how they stink? It'll get rid of that. It's awesome. 697-191. 697-191. Awesome. Okay, eucalyptus. This is a respiratory oil. Of course, it has a lot of other uses. 697-137. Oh, Jenny. Okay, this is phytoestrogen. Okay, let me tell you what the number is. 697-033. Did we get a winner? Oh, okay, we do. Okay, this is for clear skin. Oh, yeah, this is clear skin. For acne or color spots on your face or things like that. Immortelle, by the way, is awesome for color spots. 696-881. 696-881. Woo, we got a winner over there. Yeah. Let's say 10 of those for the spa class, at the end of the spa class. Okay. So this is for Melaleuca. Melaleuca is awesome for ear infections. 44 cents to get rid of an ear infection. It's good for if you're getting sinus infections too. It helps if you use that with Breathe. 696-952. 656-952. Okay, woo, hello. So basil oil. Basil oil is great if you've got diabetes. I'm just throwing out things. You can look in the book. There are a lot of applications for all of these. But the number is 697-065. Okay, do we have somebody? Awesome, and that was for basil. Okay, what's the next one? Ylang ylang. Ylang ylang is awesome for a lot of things, but neuropathy. Somebody who has neuropathy, if you use ylang ylang and aroma touch, it is amazing. Okay?